Becoming the Wealthiest Tycoon on the Planet Chapter 1, Chapter 1, A Golden Finger Arriving 19 Years Late 1. Parallel World, January 2000, University of London Dormitory, England. William Devonshire raised his hands and drew a hexagram in the air, causing a golden magic circle to appear. 5. With a swift pull, the golden magic circle transformed into a golden magic rope. He flung it out, and the rope encircled the back of a chair a few meters away. With a tug, the chair flew towards William, who caught it effortlessly. 2. This was reminiscent of the magic scene in the Doctor Strange movie, but the difference was that his power source was a system. 2. He didn't need to borrow power from dimension-dwelling gods. His magical power was provided by the system and came without side effects. 5. With his eyes closed, he used his mental power to sense everything in the dormitory, even detecting items under his bed, including a few coins. 4. Attempting to use telekinesis, he was surprised when it actually worked, and the coins, as if lifted by an invisible hand, floated towards him. 2. William excitedly waved the magic rope in his hand, occasionally causing shoes and chairs in the dorm to crash into the walls. Suddenly, a loud knocking sounded at the dorm door. A furious shout came from the hallway. "Damn it, mate, are you on drugs? What time do you think it is? If you don't quiet down, I'm calling the police." 5. Hearing the complaints from the dorm next door, William hurried to the door to apologize, spending quite a while calming his neighbor down. After closing the door, he lay on his bed, reflecting on the past few days' strange experiences, his feelings shifting from confusion to excitement. He had been in this parallel world for 19 years, until 3 days ago when a beeping sound woke him from his sleep. Energy charging complete, Marvel Universe system initiating, granting basic magical knowledge on first activation. 2. Charging? What kind of system takes 19 years to charge? 9. Suddenly, a vast amount of knowledge and memories flooded his mind, knocking him unconscious within seconds. 4. The next morning, William rubbed his still dizzy head and sat up, realizing his mind was filled with strange new knowledge. 1. Magic? How could there be magic in this world? He had lived here for 19 years without ever hearing of magic. Was he drunk? 1. Rubbing his eyes, he blinked and found himself still in his dorm room. In this world, the King of England was a man named Philip, the President of the USA was named Benjamin Arthur, and the previous president had been a British-born woman. 18. This was a world entirely different from his previous one. In his previous life, William was named Chen Mo, a 22-year-old office worker from Zhejiang Province, China, in 2019. On the day of his cousin's 20th birthday, the whole family gathered at his second uncle's house for a celebration. 24. He and 2 cousins, along with a brother-in-law, drank with 4 uncles, finishing 4 bottles of Wu Yan Chai and then continuing with a drinking game until 10 p.m., finally stopping when the uncles were all drunk. 1. Back home, surprisingly sober despite drinking a lot, Chen Mo drank a large glass of water, lay on the balcony enjoying the early summer night breeze, and started watching the newly released Avengers 4 on his phone. Halfway through the movie, a thunderstorm began. As he was about to head back inside, a flash of lightning shot towards him, rendering him unconscious. 4. He awoke in the body of a mixed-race baby named William. However, due to the baby's brain development, memories of his past life in China only slowly resurfaced as he grew older. 4. His mother, Lena Devonshire, met his father during a ski trip to Switzerland 20 years ago. A romantic and pleasant 7-day trip ended in disaster on the 7th day. 1. While skiing down from the mountain, they were caught in an avalanche. Lena and William's father were separated by the snow. Lena was fortunate enough to be buried shallowly and rescued, but William's father, Chen Jing, was never found. 7. Returning to England with a mixture of grief and relief, Lena discovered 3 months later that she was pregnant. Information from Switzerland only revealed that William's father was named Chen Jing, a 25-year-old from Shanghai working in Hong Kong. 6. Lena sought out William's paternal family in Shanghai through her father's connections but gave up after years of fruitless searching. Thus, William grew up without knowing if he had any relatives in China. Fortunately, Lena had her parents' support, who, despite their resentment towards Chen Jing, doted on their unexpected grandson and helped Lena raise him. 3. However, being a single mother raising a child was tough, and after William's grandparents passed away when he was 10, life became even harder. Lena bore all the hardships alone to bring up William. Being from a single-parent family and of mixed race, he had few friends. 12. With little playtime, young William turned to studying for solace, excelling academically as he couldn't relate to his peers. 9. His grandfather, Henry Devonshire, a nobleman, had taught him many things from a young age. As his memories of his past life gradually returned in his teenage years, his intellect seemed to double, making learning much faster than average. The only problem was the 1980s England, rife with chaos, discrimination, and conflicts. One day, discovering that he and his mother were being secretly watched, he chose to disguise himself as an unsociable bookworm for safety. By the time he got into the University of London, one of England's best schools, he was known as a reclusive academic with no girlfriend, living in his own world. The sound of an alarm clock woke him from his slumber. Marvel Universe system fully charged, initiating. Welcome, host William Devonshire, to the Marvel Universe system. System? William was stunned. A real system? Did getting struck by lightning while watching Avengers 4 grant him access to the entire Marvel Universe? System, are you there? William thought silently. After a long wait, there was no response. What kind of system doesn't have a guide or even an assistant? And what kind of system takes 19 years to charge? 6. Focusing his thoughts, he realized it was a user-friendly, beginner system. He could learn all kinds of technology, magic, and abilities, provided he understood them. Understanding technology was one thing, but studying magic gave him a headache. Fortunately, the system provided a consolation prize, a magic training system. William decided to secretly practice, ensuring he kept a low profile until he confirmed whether this world had magic or superpowered individuals. But it was magic. Who wouldn't want superpowers or magic after watching so many superhero movies? He decided to learn first and worry later. The basic magical theory was thorough and simple enough for a novice like him to understand. Sitting cross-legged on his bed, he began practicing according to the basic magical theory. Before long, lights appeared in his mind, and various magical theories and methods surfaced. This is magic? William realized, wondering how he suddenly understood it without question, as if he had always known. With a soul combined from two complete adults, he naturally had a more agile mind and quicker thinking ability. Excited by his first encounter with magic, William spent the next few days practicing non-stop, mastering his first spell, the magic rope, by that night. This spell had many uses. It could cut someone in half, bind people, and the telekinetic mage hand was even more useful. He could fetch a pen from his desk while lying in bed with it. 2. With this golden finger, he felt on the verge of a breakthrough. Chapter 2, Registering Game Copyright. The next day, Monday, William woke up, washed up, dressed, and packed his bag. He grabbed a sandwich and headed out the door. He still had classes to attend. As a sophomore computer science student at the University of London, he couldn't afford to skip classes, or his mother, Lena, would kill him. He recalled how his mother had worked 2 jobs to put him through school, so her irritable temper was understandable. Even though he had memories from his previous life, his feelings for Lena were unchanged. The fusion of memories only deepened his respect and gratitude towards her. 8. For now, he had to stay in school, organize the knowledge from the system, and wait until his magic skills were strong enough to protect himself against firearms before considering other options. He wouldn't foolishly expose his superpowers, but once he had the means to break free from the mundane, the idea of making money constantly echoed in his mind. 1. It was the year 2000. Although he knew which companies and technologies would become profitable in the future, he lacked capital, and learning new technologies would take time. Suddenly unveiling advanced technology years ahead of its time would undoubtedly attract unwanted attention and threats. The world might have moved past overt robberies, but it was still rife with covert suppression, threats, and takeovers. Magic, he decided, would be his trump card, a means to be used only if he could eliminate all witnesses. After all, firearms were still powerful, and he couldn't afford to become an enemy of society. For now, he needed to focus on low-profile development. 1. Learning magic wasn't about world domination. He couldn't achieve that anyway. Instead, he aimed to improve his and his mother Lena's lives. Achieving small, incremental goals was the most prudent approach. 3. January marked the start of the second semester at the University of London. With his backpack slung over his shoulder, William hurried to the computer science department's main lecture hall. In 2000, there was no cloud computing, no big data, and AI was still in its infancy. What Professor Roy taught seemed basic to William, who now possessed knowledge from the Marvel Universe system. 3. The lecture felt easy to follow, and William even felt a bit unsatisfied when it ended. Perhaps adopting the persona of a top student could deflect suspicion? After a day of classes, William sat on a bench near the campus lawn, staring blankly at the grass. With his mind set on excelling academically, he pondered what project could earn him some starting capital. It needed to be related to his field to avoid raising suspicion. While thinking, he heard the sound of 2 pairs of high heels behind him. One girl mentioned how scary the vampire movie she watched last night was, saying she didn't dare sleep alone in her dorm afterwards. 1. The pleasant sound of her voice made William turn his head. He saw 2 attractive girls, their eyes shining, but he shivered at their choice of skirts in January. However, their figures were indeed captivating. As the girls walked away, William turned back to the dry grass. Suddenly, an idea sparked in his mind but eluded him. Vampires? Zombies? Yes, Plants vs. Zombies. I can make that game. 7. The game had already appeared on PCs and sold well, but it wouldn't become a global sensation until 2008, with the advent of smartphones. Creating the game in 2000 shouldn't be a problem, even if he had to lower the pixel quality. If Counter-Strike could support LAN play, a small game like Plants vs. Zombies would certainly run. 1. In the late 90s, single-player games were at their peak, especially in Western markets where they were more popular than online games. Plants vs. Zombies had proven its success, so developing a single-player version should be feasible. 2. Although it would be challenging with his current skill level, William had the system. Any problems could be solved by learning from it, asking professors, or researching in the library. With this idea, he became so excited that he waved his arms, startling several passers-by. Ignoring their looks, he grabbed his bag and rushed back to his dorm. Once there, he opened his computer and started drafting a plan. The next day, after reviewing his plan for errors, he began coding. Frequently, he compared his work with the system's knowledge or looked for alternative solutions within it. For 10 days straight, he spent a lot of time in the library and consulted professors more often than he had in his entire first year. His knowledge expanded rapidly, and he began to understand the intricacies of game development. Finally, after another week, the game started to take shape. After taking a shower to refresh himself, William proudly examined the program on his computer and began testing it. The main challenge now was how to promote Plants vs. Zombies. With no money and no channels, he pondered for a long time before deciding that his first step should be registering the copyright. 6. He needed to register the game's story, characters, and gameplay with the Copyright Office to ensure peace of mind during promotion. Having lived in England for so long, he understood that capitalists wouldn't play fair. 10. Finding a phone booth with a Yellow Pages directory at school, he prepared to call the Copyright Office. Then, remembering that British government receptionists weren't as helpful as those in China, he decided to try something. 34. He infused magic into his throat and, feeling no pain, spoke a few words softly. His voice became noticeably more pleasant. Smiling, he dialed the number. 2. Hello, is this the Copyright Office? The person on the other end, perhaps charmed by William's voice, responded warmly, Yes, sir. May I have your name? How can I assist you? William smiled and replied in a gentle tone, My name is William Devonshire. I have a game I need to register for copyright. May I know your name, ma'am? Haha, you can call me Katie, the woman said, clearly in a better mood. Is your game original, or is it based on another story or game? 1. Definitely original. 3. That makes it much simpler. You can first register the story copyright with us and then the game copyright. Here's a tip, organize your story manuscript and game design draft before coming in. This will help expedite the review process. If you'd like, I can schedule an appointment for you now. How about the day after tomorrow? 3. William was thrilled. Thank you, Ms. Katie. That would be wonderful. I appreciate your help. Have a pleasant afternoon. 2. Thank you, sir. Have a pleasant afternoon as well. Goodbye. Goodbye, William said, hanging up the phone. Back in his dorm, he checked the Copyright Office's website for submission procedures and requirements. On the third day, after organizing all his documents, he took the bus to 11 Catherine Street. Chapter 3, Securing Copyright and Game Demo. Upon arriving at the Copyright Office, William greeted the receptionist. Hello, my name is William Devonshire. I made an appointment 2 days ago. The receptionist checked the logbook and said, Hello, Mr. Devonshire. Please follow me. Following the receptionist, William submitted various documents, copying the game story and design manuscript in triplicate as required. Both the originals and copies were stamped with the Copyright Office's seal, and he signed and fingerprinted them. 2 copies were left at the Copyright Office, one was kept by William, and the sealed and stamped original was, upon Katie's suggestion, mailed to himself at the post office. This way, in case of a copyright dispute, he could produce the unopened, officially stamped and postmarked document as evidence, which would be advantageous in court. Since it was an original story and design, and with Katie's help, the copyright would be processed in just 3 days. During the 3 days while waiting for the copyright to be approved, William, who had been busy for about 20 days, strolled around the school campus, thinking about how to promote his game. Unknowingly, he walked to the edge of the school's sports field. 2. Watching a sparsely attended soccer game, he suddenly got the idea to test his magic on the unpredictable flight path of a kicked soccer ball rather than on people. 4. Using his mental power and mage hand, he subtly altered the trajectory of the soccer ball as it flew towards the goal, causing slight deviations. After several experiments, the annoyed goalkeeper started treating him like a jinx, shooing him away from the goal area. The next day at lunch, he ran into a school bully from the rowing team who had bullied him before. 7. The bully, carrying a tray and chatting happily with a girl, became William's next target. Using his mental power, William lifted the bully's right hand, causing the tray to unexpectedly smash into the girl's head. 1. With a loud bang, William winced at the girl's pain. The girl, drenched in juice and clutching her head in confusion, turned around to see who had played the prank. The bully's first reaction was to look around for the culprit, but everyone nearby had already moved away, avoiding the scene. The girl, on the verge of tears from the pain, looked around but found no one to blame. Without a second thought, she broke up with the bully on the spot. 9. As the bully hurriedly chased after her, William used mage hand to trip him, causing him to fall face first onto the marble floor. When the bully got up, his mouth was bleeding and 2 teeth were missing. Almost in tears, he ran to the school clinic. Seeing his enemy in such a miserable state filled William with satisfaction. 10. This bully had once deliberately bumped into him in an off-campus park, and after a scuffle, William had been beaten by several members of the rowing team. 2. Finally getting his revenge, William felt a sense of joy, even if no one knew it was him. 3. Revenge achieved without trouble was the safest way. Enjoying his lunch, William returned to his dorm and lay on his bed, pondering how to promote his game cost-effectively. He recalled how Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook initially spread through college networks. If someone else could succeed that way, why not try it himself? 2. Plants vs. Zombies, compared to other games of the year 2000, would be highly attractive. Being released earlier, its lifespan should be longer, and besides the single-player version, he could later develop an online mode, designing it in a Warcraft RPG style with a four-corner defense map. 5. William felt optimistic about his plan. That afternoon, Katie called, informing him to pick up his copyright certificate and pay the remaining fees the next day. The following morning, after leaving the copyright office, William tossed away Katie's note and looked at the document folder in his hand. He had finally taken his first step in this world. Now, it was time to promote his game. 7. Returning to school with a CD containing the game, he headed to the school's gaming club. In this era, entertainment options were relatively scarce compared to a decade later, so clubs were a popular choice among students. Many students would bring their self-made games to the gaming club for others to playtest, not just to find bugs but also, like William, to gain recognition and hopefully attract the attention of game publishers. Even if they couldn't reach an agreement with publishers initially, a popular game could spread through word of mouth in London's universities and high schools, eventually leading to market demand pressuring publishers. Pushing open the club door, William saw the 90-square-meter room filled with over 30 sponsor-provided computers. Dozens of students were either huddled around the computers playing games or clustered by the blackboard, discussing and occasionally arguing over something. As a computer science student, and with word of his game development inevitably spreading over the past few weeks, many recognized him immediately. Seeing the CD in his hand, they knew he had finished his game. 2. A tall, skinny guy with curly hair shouted, "Hey, everyone, look who's here! It's our genius, William Devonshire. Come on, show us what you've made, genius. Let's see how it compares to our ordinary efforts." Rolling his eyes, William silently cursed his bad timing. He had no intention of engaging with the loudmouth. If you listened to this guy, he could talk your ear off for an hour without repeating himself. And what was worse, he had no self-awareness, so people generally avoided him. William thought, "I'm not your dad, why should I let you see my game just because you said so? No wonder no one likes you." Richard Dack, who had a mediocre relationship with William but disliked the loudmouth even more, pushed the curly-haired guy aside, saying, "Give it a rest, Worcester. Shut your mouth and move out of the way." Richard turned to William, "Mate, don't mind him. When no one talks to him, he'll come begging for our attention." Shrugging, William smiled at Richard, "Come and check out the game I made. I think you'll like it." Knowing that the club's computers were not equipped to copy files, William led Richard to a computer he had just used, inserted the CD, and copied the game onto the machine. Once the game was installed, he stepped aside to let Richard play. William deliberately spoke loudly about the game's settings, drawing the curiosity of several others who began to gather around. Richard started the game, and soon, more students crowded around, intrigued by the game's concept and design. "What's this game called?" someone asked. "Plants vs. Zombies," William replied, smiling. "It's a tower defense game where you use different plants to stop waves of zombies from reaching your house." Richard, focused on the game, added, "This is really fun. The mechanics are simple yet engaging. I can see this catching on quickly." 3. As Richard continued playing, more students took an interest. Some lined up to try it themselves, while others began discussing the game's potential. "This could be huge," another student remarked. "We should help spread the word." 3. William felt a surge of satisfaction. His plan was working. The enthusiasm in the room was palpable, and word of mouth would soon take over. By the end of the day, most of the gaming club members had tried Plants vs. Zombies and were buzzing with excitement. William had planted the seeds, and now he just had to wait for them to grow. 2. Back in his dorm that evening, William felt a sense of accomplishment. He had successfully introduced his game to an eager audience. Now, he just had to monitor the feedback and make any necessary improvements. The following days saw the game spreading through the university. Students from other departments and even other schools began to hear about it. Some came to the gaming club specifically to try it out. Within a week, Plants vs. Zombies had become a campus sensation. William received invitations to other universities' gaming clubs and started getting inquiries from small game publishers interested in his work. His first step had been a success, and with the game's growing popularity, William knew it was only a matter of time before it reached even greater heights. He had a lot more to do, but for now, he allowed himself a moment to relish his achievements. Chapter 4, Game Popularity and Promotion. Quick, place a cherry bomb. No, just put a jalapeno here. It'll save you 25 cents. Less than an hour into the game, Richard had already drawn a crowd of more than 20 people. Half of the game room's occupants were gathered around the computer screen, eagerly discussing the best plant placement strategies. By the time Richard reached level 19, he was getting flustered, eventually losing at level 25. "Ah, what a pity. Richard, you idiot, we told you to put up a walnut. Wait, get this guy out of here. He can't hog the computer all day. Dumbass, why are we crowding around one computer? William has the game on a CD, we can all play." Realizing this, the interested students turned to William. "Mate, hand over the CD." The CD was quickly grabbed by the fastest hands and began to be installed on one computer after another. Watching the seasoned gamers eagerly play, William felt a wave of relief. It seemed that classics remained timeless, and strategy games had a dedicated fan base in the West. 1. After spending 2 hours in the game room and seeing everyone engrossed in Plants vs. Zombies, even surprising some latecomers with the game's popularity, William finally felt a great sense of satisfaction. Anyone smart enough to get into the University of London wasn't dumb. Many students' attitudes toward William changed after seeing his game. Noticing it was almost noon, William walked to the blackboard wall in the game room and clapped his hands loudly. "Hey, guys, over here." It took several calls for people to turn their attention away from the game. As avid gamers, they could tell when a game was good. Many already suspected that someone at their school was about to make it big. Once more than half the room was looking at him, William began. "We all know games are designed for people to play, but the ultimate goal is pretty straightforward, to make money. So, I want to ask you all, if this game were sold for £5, would you buy it? Of course, as a thank you for your time, I'll give each of you a free game CD." The crowd didn't take long to respond, their voices overlapping in a mix of enthusiasm. £5? I'd buy it for sure. Most popular games are at least £8. William, if it's £5, I'd buy 4 copies right now. No problem, £5 is a bargain. Seeing that most were fine with a £5 price tag, with some even thinking it was too cheap, William felt more confident about his plan. 4. He clapped his hands again to quiet the room. "Guys, we're friends here. Many of you know my situation. I don't have much money and can't get a big game company to help promote my game. So, I came up with an idea. Let's see if any of you are interested." Robert Carter, a friend from the law school, chimed in. "Hey, mate, spill it. I think your game has real potential. But if I were you, I'd register it first to avoid future trouble." Robert, being black, didn't care about William's mixed heritage. They had become friends after hanging out together through the club. "Thanks, mate, but I already registered the copyright a few days ago. Every copyright I could," William said. Hearing this, some of the students who worked part-time for game companies or were their informants were visibly disappointed. "I have the certificate. Since everyone seems okay with the £5 price, and many of you think it's a steal, I'll wholesale the game to you at £4 each. You can then sell it to your classmates or friends for £6. Does that sound good?" The room erupted in chatter. "That's a great idea. If that's the case, I'll place an order right now. Last time I bought an EPS game for £12, and it wasn't half as fun as this. I think I can sell 100 copies. Only 100? I bet I can sell 200 in my community alone. The kids there will go nuts for this game. Hey, Ryan, you marketing genius, why didn't I think of selling in communities? With so many neighborhoods in London, selling a few hundred copies and making some pocket money should be easy. Maybe we could apply for a demo area at school, set up a few laptops, and let our classmates try the game. If it catches on here, we could promote it to other universities. What do you think?" "That's a great idea. We should form a sales team and start with our school. It won't cost much in terms of time or money. Anyone interested can come to me to sign up. Count me in. I want to join." "Me too. We could use the club's name to apply to the school. If we apply now, we might get a response by tomorrow." Listening to the enthusiastic discussions on how to promote the game, William was elated. In the end, over 50 people agreed to buy the game at £4 each and sell it for £6. 2. While William knew this price was somewhat low, the game's current obscurity made low-price promotion essential to build its reputation, which was more important than short-term profit. Moreover, earning £3 per copy while getting over 50 people to promote it for free was a great deal. If some sold it for more, that would only boost enthusiasm. Most of the students here were experienced gamers. Many had developed games before and could recognize a good game when they saw one. William enlisted Robert and a few other top law students as legal advisors, offering them 25 game CDs each at a discounted rate. After everyone discussed the terms and resolved all legal issues, William took down each person's name and the number of CDs they wanted. Most were cautious, ordering only a few, but even the smallest order was 10 CDs. Some marketing students ordered over 200 each. After tallying up the requests, William was shocked to find the total was 1,050 CDs, averaging 20 per person. When Robert and the others finished drafting the legal documents, they read them aloud to everyone. William collected a £4 per CD deposit from everyone, promising to deliver the CDs within a week. The going rate for CD pressing in London was well known, 80 pence per CD for under 10,000 copies, 60 pence for 10,000 to 50,000, and 50 pence for over 50,000. No one objected to the cost since they knew the worst-case scenario would still leave them with more money than they started with. Most were reasonable and focused on fair profits. After everyone paid and signed the contracts, William excitedly held £4,200 in his hands, his first real funds since reincarnating. He couldn't believe how easy it had been to take this first step. With the money in hand, William returned to his dorm, grabbed the master copy of the game, and hurried to a CD pressing company that had previously collaborated with the club. Based on what he learned from the CD pressing company, they could produce under 10,000 CDs in less than 3 days. He had set a week as the delivery time just to be safe in case of unexpected delays. William placed an order for 5,000 CDs for £4,000, keeping £200 plus his few £100 in reserve to register a company over the next 3 days. In England, anyone earning over £150,000 annually pays 50% in income tax, while businesses with profits over £300,000 only pay 26% in corporate tax, dropping to 24% after 2012. 16. So, registering a company was essential. Chapter 5. Chapter 5. Learning to open portals. Tax avoidance is something every company in the world strives to achieve legally, as it is permitted by law. If you have the ability, like Apple or Starbucks, to earn billions of pounds in England each year without paying a penny in taxes, and even get tax refunds, why wouldn't you? 1. Why is this possible? These companies have found loopholes in England's tax laws, conducting most of their profitable business through companies registered in Ireland or the Netherlands. The English branches only show about 10% profit margins and have to pay their employees in England. Thus, on paper, these big corporations appear to be running at a loss in England, and losses are not taxable. They can even enjoy tax refunds. 2. In reality, these companies make more money than their turnover. Apple, for instance, has hundreds of billions of dollars in cash held outside the USA, avoiding taxes under current regulations. 1. William decided he needed to learn from these big corporations because legal tax avoidance is a global practice. Even the English royal family does it, so he wasn't going to foolishly pay excessive taxes either. That day, William contacted a company specializing in business registrations. Following their advice, he registered 2 companies with minimal capital, Devonshire Industries in England and Ireland Import and Export in Ireland. Since both were within the British Isles, he received the operating licenses for both companies the next day. 1. The following morning, he used the Irish company to sign a contract for 5,000 game CDs with the CD pressing company, paid the bill, and waited 3 days to have the CDs delivered to his dorm. 1. He then called Robert Carter, asking him to come over to help with some contract-related matters. Not long after, a knock on the door announced Robert's arrival. "Hey, mate, can you help me draft a few legal documents?" "I'll pay you for it," William said. "What kind of legal documents?" Robert asked, curious. "I took your advice and registered 2 companies. One is Devonshire Industries in England, and the other is Ireland Import and Export in Ireland. I need you to draft some contracts to transfer the copyright of Plants vs. Zombies to Devonshire Industries and then authorize the Irish company to sell the game CDs for £1 each." Robert gave William a puzzled look. His friend, who had always been focused on computer technology, had never discussed legal matters with him before. Then it clicked: William was trying to avoid taxes. "So, your funds won't enter an Irish bank, meaning Ireland won't collect taxes from you, and England won't get taxes on your £3 profit per CD. Smart move, mate. Are you sure you're not studying law instead of computer science?" William chuckled internally. This was the simplest form of tax avoidance. If Robert knew about Apple's methods, he'd be even more surprised. "I do some reading in my spare time. I know a bit about legal tax avoidance. Will there be any legal issues with these contracts?" "Not at all," Robert laughed. "You're not the only one doing this. Many companies in England operate this way." 1. Once Robert had handled the authorization contracts, William handed him a box containing 50 game CDs. "You know my situation. This is all I can give you as a fee for now. When I make more money, I'll treat you to a big dinner." Robert joked, "No problem. You're going to be a rich man, and we lawyers serve the rich. Who knows, I might need to rely on you one day." 1. William knew Robert was joking. Graduates of the University of London wouldn't work for his small, budding company. "Sure thing, Robert. When I make it big, you'll be my personal lawyer." "Deal," Robert said, shaking William's hand with a smile. After a few more jokes and discussing some details, Robert left. William began calling the other students who had prepaid for the game CDs, arranging to meet at his dorm for pickup. It took a day to hand out all the game CDs. After the last student left and William had dinner, he lay on his bed, feeling aimless. After almost a month of constant work, suddenly having nothing to do felt anticlimactic. He decided to meditate properly for the first time in days. Entering a deep meditative state, he was startled by the sudden surge in his mental power, breaking his meditation and causing him to investigate. It turned out that if his mental power had been the size of a sesame seed before, it was now as large as a peanut. Wondering about this sudden change, a ding sounded in his mind. Host's mental power has reached the beginner level. All magic can now be learned. 1. So this was beginner level mental power? It seemed that the silent system had some use after all. Even if he meditated sporadically, his mental power would continue to increase. Exploring the magical knowledge and spells in his mind, he realized that as long as his mental power could handle a spell and he understood it, he could learn any level of magic without restriction. Raising his hand, he formed a flame in his palm. With a wave, the flame expanded into a half-meter diameter ring. He maintained it for over 10 minutes before feeling slightly fatigued. Previously, he couldn't maintain such a flame for more than a minute without feeling exhausted. Now, he could sustain it for over 10 minutes with only minor fatigue, indicating his mental power had increased tenfold or more. Wait, he felt short of breath and a bit oxygen deprived. Stopping the spell, William opened the window to take a few deep breaths of fresh air. Leaning against the windowsill, he pondered how to use magic without being discovered. If only he had Mystique's shape-shifting ability, he could change his appearance and even mimic fingerprints, ensuring no one could trace any magic use back to him. Then he realized that learning the portal spell would make it impossible for anyone to catch him, perfect for both escape and assassination. 4. Motivated, William closed the window, drew the curtains, and focused on learning the portal spell. 2. Thinking about learning the portal spell, the knowledge of the spell imprinted itself into his mind from the system. Following the instructions, he practiced diligently. Perhaps because he was a soul from another world, he had a special affinity for spatial magic. Soon, he was able to draw a magical portal circle in his dorm. After several attempts, he felt his mental power lock onto the bathroom within the dorm. Suddenly, a portal opened, allowing him to see his bathroom through it. Excitedly, without considering the potential dangers, he stepped through the portal and into the bathroom. Seeing the familiar towels and toothbrushes, William excitedly muttered, "Having a system is awesome. I actually learned this so quickly." 3. And without borrowing power from dimension gods, the system provided everything directly. This spell was a must for escape and travel, truly a divine skill. Chapter 6, Game Launch. Excited, William transported himself back to his bed from the bathroom. Then, his entire room became a testing ground. He teleported from one spot to another, from the desk to the wardrobe, opening portals over a dozen times until he felt mentally exhausted. Sitting back on his bed, he meditated. Surprisingly, his mental power was restored in less than a minute, making him feel like a magical prodigy. Imagining future confrontations, he envisioned opening a portal next to an enemy, unleashing a barrage of gunfire, and if that didn't work, following it with a magical onslaught. If he ran out of magic power, he could simply retreat through the portal, wait a few seconds, and then return for another attack. Who could withstand that? 1. Additionally, there were some defensive spells he hadn't mastered yet, capable of stopping even sniper bullets, let alone handguns. Just the thought of it made William feel exhilarated. He continued practicing fire, ice, nature, and even light magic, including healing and resurrection spells. The idea of having a resurrection spell shocked him. He practiced various forms of ice magic, turning it into ice balls, ice needles, ice spears, and ice roses. Fire and lightning magic, though unable to take solid form, could still be manipulated into various shapes in his hand. With no side effects from using magic other than mental fatigue, and the system's magic framework allowing his physical fitness to improve with space magic practice, William realized he needed a bigger space to practice. 2. He decided to move out of his dormitory, which was too small for practicing many spells and too crowded with people. After learning defensive spells, he decided to wash up and go to bed. Despite the modern world's relative safety and the security of the university, England wasn't like the USA with its frequent campus shootings. 11. While William slept soundly, others were restless. Alexander Hammer, a top student in the marketing department at the University of London, had taken 200 game CDs from William at noon and rushed home to his middle-class neighborhood in Zone 2 of London. After lunch and a chat with his mother, he headed to the community basketball courts with his laptop and 20 game CDs. The basketball courts, filled with players, were a hub for local teenagers and young adults. Alexander, who knew many people there, planned to introduce the game to his friends and gauge their interest. Upon arriving at the courts, he greeted several familiar faces and found his closest friends. "Hey, Alexander, what brings you here? Don't you usually stay on campus?" one of them, Rick, asked. "Rick, I have a new game developed by a classmate from my university. I tried it out and thought it was fantastic. I wanted to see if you guys would like it. It's only £6 per CD, Alexander explained enthusiastically. 4. Wow, Alexander, you're already into sales in your second year? Sure, if it's as good as you say, I'll buy a copy, Rick replied supportively. Leading Rick and a few others to a seating area by the court, Alexander booted up his laptop and launched the game for them to try. Initially, the small group played quietly, unfamiliar with the game. However, within half an hour, guided by Alexander's explanations, they began passionately debating the best plant placements, drawing more onlookers. Arguments broke out among the players over who would get to play next, attracting even more attention. "Rick, you're an idiot? I told you to follow my strategy. It's my turn now. You've hogged the laptop long enough." Seeing the growing interest, Alexander suggested, "Hey guys, I have more game CDs. They're only £6 each. You can buy one and play at home without having to fight over the laptop." The friends, frustrated by the constant arguments, agreed. One by one, they bought a copy. In no time, Alexander's initial 20 CDs were sold out, and he hurried home to fetch the remaining CDs. Within 2 hours, all 200 CDs were gone, with many people clamoring for more. 4. Promising to bring more CDs the next afternoon, Alexander managed to calm the crowd. Some even prepaid for their copies, while others, unable to find anyone to borrow from, worried they might miss out again. Alexander assured everyone he'd be back at 4 p.m. the next day, perfect timing for students just out of school. Rick, who had been monopolizing the laptop, said, "Hey, how did I do? I was just messing with them to make them buy the game." 2. Surprised, Alexander replied, "Rick, I had no idea you were acting. Your performance was convincing enough to fool me too. So, you owe me a meal, right? I sacrificed myself to help you," Rick joked. Sure thing, let's go get some dinner, Alexander said, patting Rick on the back. They went to a local restaurant known for its affordable and hearty meals, a favorite spot for celebrating small victories. After parting ways with a full-stomached Rick, Alexander returned home, eager to share his success with his mother. Mom, guess how much money I made today? Instead of the praise he expected, his mother asked, where did you get money? How did you earn it? Annoyed by her suspicion, Alexander explained, Mom, I'm a top student at the University of London. Do you think I'd do something illegal? I wouldn't throw away my future. So how did you make the money? She asked, still puzzled. Mom, today was my lucky day. I sold 200 game CDs in less than 3 hours at the community basketball courts, earning £400, Alexander said, beaming with pride at being able to help ease his family's financial burden. 6. What kind of game can make you £400? A voice from the door asked. Seeing his father, Alexander explained, Dad, it's a game developed by a classmate. Everyone at school loves it. I buy the CDs from him for £4 each and sell them for £6. Based on today's response, I think we can sell 1,000 CDs in our neighborhood and nearby communities. Soon, I'll be able to support myself, and you and Mom won't have to work so hard. 6. Hearing that Alexander had found a legitimate way to make money and seeing his maturity, his parents were overjoyed. Chapter 7, Game Launch, Part 2. The next morning, William was still asleep when the persistent knocking on his dorm door woke him. Reluctantly dragging himself out of bed, he groggily opened the door to find Hammer standing there. God, what time is it? William complained. Sorry, William, I got too excited, Hammer replied, still buzzing with enthusiasm from yesterday's success. I sold all 200 game CDs in one day. There are still so many people waiting to buy more. Time is money, William, money. William was initially stunned but quickly grew excited. Are you serious? You sold all of them in one afternoon. Thrilled, William hugged Hammer's shoulders. You marketing genius? We're going to be rich. Hammer couldn't contain his excitement. Absolutely, William. We're on the road to fortune. Now give me more CDs. I need to try selling in other neighborhoods too. Plus, I submitted an idea to my professor last night. I plan to write a paper on our sales strategy. If this method works, we can provide valuable data on young people's preferences, which could be very profitable. Hammer continued, the professor approved my proposal, so I don't need to attend classes for now. I just have to document my daily activities and submit a final report. If the professor likes it, he might even recommend my paper for publication. This is perfect. It helps me make money and boosts my academic record. I think I can sell 500 game CDs a day, making £1,000 daily. I've never earned that much money in my life. Hammer pulled out the £1,200 he had earned. Come on, buddy, I need 300 CDs. 1. Taking the money, William thought for a moment. I'll give you 500 CDs, pay me the rest once you sell them. Consider it a reward for your hard work. Really? You're the best, man? I'll sell them all by tonight. We're going to be rich. Hammer packed the 500 CDs into his backpack and rushed out. William thought, this guy is really talented. A good salesperson needs a desire to earn and the drive to make it happen. 2. After finishing his morning classes, William received calls from other students who had taken game CDs from him, asking for more. Skipping lunch, he hurried back to his dorm to meet them. By noon, many who hadn't been at the gaming club the previous day showed up with money. By evening, over 100 people had requested more CDs, with each taking anywhere from a few dozen to over 100 copies. In just 2 days, William had distributed over 3,000 game CDs. Realizing he needed more stock, William decided to contact the CD pressing company. With over £12,000 in hand, he could afford to order 20,000 more CDs at 60 pence each. However, he pondered ordering 50,000 CDs instead, which would reduce the cost to 50 pence per CD, totaling £25,000. 2. Deciding to go all in, William called the CD pressing company. They were surprised at the volume he requested so soon and offered a small discount, bringing the price to 46 pence per CD. They also proposed a production contract, hoping to secure his future business. William declined, knowing the game's potential to expand beyond London, possibly to Europe and the USA. He didn't want to commit to any exclusive contracts until the game truly exploded in popularity. That afternoon, he visited the CD pressing company, signed the contract, and paid a £10,000 deposit, agreeing to receive the CDs in 2 batches to manage his cash flow. Rejecting the CD pressing company's dinner invitation, William bought a pizza and returned to his dorm. Just as he started eating, Hammer burst in, eager to report his day's success. Mate, you wouldn't believe how nervous I was carrying all this money around. I was scared someone would rob me, Hammer said, dumping a pile of coins and notes onto the table. He counted out £800, repaying his debt to William, and then excitedly tallied the rest. After selling 500 CDs and repaying William, Hammer had made £2,200 for himself. 3. Grabbing a slice of William's pizza, Hammer helped himself to another 500 game CDs, leaving £2,000 on the table before dashing off again. Over the next few days, William consistently distributed 3,000 game CDs daily. More than 150 students at the University of London were now selling the game, and William was no longer an unknown figure. Many students, even those who didn't know him personally, recognized him and greeted him on campus. 1. Some bolder girls began flirting with him openly. William reflected on how capitalist society could be so materialistic, unlike the simpler, genuine interactions in his previous life in China. However, he knew this was a global trend that wouldn't change soon. 35. Before long, several small London game companies approached William, seeking to buy the game rights. However, their highest offer was only £1 million. Scoffing at the lowball offers, William thought, I've already sold nearly 50,000 game CDs and earned close to £20,000. Do they think I'm stupid? 6. After the 50,000 CDs were sold, he ordered another 100,000. The game was gaining momentum, and even marketing students from his university were selling it in nearby cities. The marketing strategy attracted attention online, with many people asking where they could buy the game. The school administration began to take note of this innovative sales case, seeing potential for a new marketing approach. Selling to students first, expanding to other universities, then to high schools, and finally gaining broad public attention. This method required minimal marketing expenditure and could generate significant buzz if the product was good. Within a month, 150,000 game CDs were sold in and around London, finally attracting the interest of major game companies. 1. Underscore 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 underscore. Read ahead. patreon.com/matter. Comment. 6. Comment. Vote. Chapter 8. Chapter 8. Game merchandise is the real moneymaker too. After selling 150,000 copies, William stopped producing game discs. At £6 per copy, he was selling them too cheaply, especially considering that some folks at school sold each copy for over £10. Even though the higher sales weren't extensive, they weren't negligible either. Calculating it this way meant losing out on tens of thousands of pounds, but there was no helping it. His main goal now was to build a reputation for the game. If he sold each copy for over £10, selling 50,000 copies would have been a stroke of luck. 1. The game's explosive sales in London, along with the positive reviews, caught the attention of major gaming companies like EA and Ubisoft, as well as game retailers and supermarkets. Even Best Buy from the USA, which specialized in DVDs and computer games, sent representatives. 5. The lost tens of thousands of pounds could be seen as salaries for the hundreds of university peers who helped him sell the game, and as advertising costs to attract these big companies. A few days ago, William received inquiries from these companies wanting to discuss distribution or purchasing the game outright. So, he approached one of the top law firms in London. Anthony, a senior partner at Moonlit law firm, was whom William hired, costing him £1,000 per hour. Given that such negotiations could take several days or even over a week, he was looking at paying Anthony several tens of thousands of pounds. Luckily, William signed an hourly contract with Moonlit. A commission-based contract could have been even more costly. 1. William booked a meeting room at the Hilton Hotel in London and met with Anthony at 8 a.m. sharp. After shaking hands, William joked, "Good morning, Mr. Anthony. It's 8 o'clock now. Are we starting the billing?" Anthony, catching the joke, replied, "Good morning, Mr. Devonshire. If starting billing at 8:10 would make you happier, I don't mind." "Ha, Anthony, you're very humorous. Let's get down to business. I need you to handle all the legal matters for me." "No problem. Of course, Mr. Devonshire. This is what we do. I assure you that any contract handled by our firm will be flawless." "This is Moonlit's confidence and commitment," Anthony assured William. William nodded in agreement, which was why he hired Moonlit's lawyers in the first place. "Okay, I have full trust in Moonlit. As one of England's top 3 law firms, your expertise and reputation are unquestionable. Let's get started, Anthony. Today should be busy." 3. After that, he greeted and shook hands with Anthony's 4 team members. Paying £1,000 an hour for London's best lawyers and their team didn't seem expensive to William. If problems arose due to lack of professional legal advice, it would be a disaster. 2. Naturally, only top lawyers make big money, while their assistants might only earn a few £1,000s a month. At 9 a.m., representatives from EA, Ubisoft, Best Buy, Carrefour, and other game companies arrived on time. 1. After everyone found their seats, William got straight to the point, knowing that quality, sales, and profits would speak louder than anything else. Other words were just fluff to these game companies and distributors. William took the microphone and addressed the room. "Welcome, gentlemen. My name is William Devonshire, the creator, designer, and owner of Plants vs. Zombies. 2. Time is precious, so I'll be direct. Many people and companies have approached me recently, indicating that you're here either to buy the game's rights or to negotiate distribution deals. Is that correct?" The representatives nodded, having contacted William without him revealing anything. Although they were optimistic about the game, they didn't want to jump the gun, preferring to hear what William had to say. "Now, gentlemen, I'll first state my bottom line. If our expectations differ significantly, please remain calm and hear me out." "Okay." The attendees, being competitors, exchanged glances. All of them saw the potential in this game. Since no offers were made yet, no one wanted to be the first to speak, so they nodded again. Seeing no objections, William thanked them and continued, "Thank you. Let's talk about distribution first. The price I can accept is £8 per game disc, roughly $13. I believe Plants vs. Zombies can easily sell for $20 in the USA. Everyone knows that in the late 80s, EPS games had a wholesale price of $25. You are all industry experts and know I'm right. You also know whether £8 is reasonable. 1. If you can accept £8, we can proceed with the negotiations. EA and Ubisoft didn't initially consider distribution, but they feared that if the other companies drove up the price, William might stop selling the game. So, they quickly agreed, £8 is acceptable. The distributors, who specialized in game distribution, realized William was right. No hit game in America sold for less than $20. Seeing the game companies agree, they begrudgingly accepted the price, thinking, these guys should go to hell. They sell their games so expensively and now are competing with us for distribution. Representatives from Best Buy and Carrefour also nodded in agreement. Great, with everyone agreeing to £8, we have the basis to continue. In my hand is the data showing that we sold 150,000 game discs in London in 1 month. I won't distribute this, you must have done your market research. This is why we're all here. The second piece of information might be new to you, though Carrefour should be aware of it. William paused, looking at Carrefour's representative, who nodded with a smile, as it related to their business. 20 days ago, I signed a contract with Carrefour for the licensing of t-shirts, hats, and other merchandise featuring Plants vs. Zombies characters. Now, I realize I signed it too early. But no matter. I still want to thank Carrefour. This contract grants Carrefour the rights to produce Plants vs. Zombies merchandise in 5 counties around London. In the 15 days up to yesterday, 43,000 units of merchandise were sold in 120 Carrefour stores in London, averaging 360 units per store, with 240 units sold daily. The revenue was £6.45 million, with each unit selling for an average of £15. Upon hearing these figures, the representatives, except those from Carrefour, were surprised. 43,000 units in 15 days across 5 counties near London, amounting to £6.45 million. Once the game becomes a hit worldwide, how much will this merchandise sell? This realization excited the attendees. 5. Merchandise is the real money maker. Copyright laws in Europe and America are stringent, and such clear-cut copyright cases are easily won. Once everyone settled down, William continued, selling 1 million copies of the game in Europe is achievable, and within a year or two, as the game's reputation grows, selling over 3 million copies will be easy. The distributors looked grim, knowing that William's estimate matched their own. Some had even estimated slightly higher. It was now the year 2000, and while there were many good games, none captivated children, adults, and the elderly like Plants vs. Zombies. 13 years later, the game would have over 25 million downloads. William continued, in the USA, selling 2 million copies shouldn't be a problem, and another 2 million in other countries combined. Gentlemen, think about a game that can sell over 7 million copies and the additional revenue from merchandise. Imagine the wealth it can generate for you. Fuck, it's generating wealth for you, the representatives thought angrily. Chapter 9, I want to sell for £100 million. William smiled and didn't mind the people present, calculating silently in his head. He knew he had said enough. The potential wealth the game could generate was something these seasoned veterans in the gaming industry could easily grasp without him needing to elaborate further. EA and Ubisoft were among the top independent publishers worldwide, capable of independently publishing both games and related merchandise. Best Buy was now the largest DVD and game distributor in the USA. 2. Even conservatively, the Plants vs. Zombies game discs could sell for over £70 million, and with new versions, that would mean even more money. Adding in the merchandise, which could sell for several times or even 10 times the game itself, these companies and distributors naturally wanted the game. 2. Best Buy was also about to go public. If the game became a hit in the USA, it would greatly help their IPO next year. A return of 1% could mean a 20% increase in market value, proving that timing is crucial. Unable to hold back, Best Buy's representative spoke up, all right, Mr. Devonshire, we understand you're willing to sell the full rights to the game. You've painted a bright future for the game. Let me guess, you want to sell it at a high market price, invest in the stock market, and possibly double your money within a year. If that's the case, congratulations, William. You're about to become a millionaire. But I would prefer you straightforwardly tell us how much you want for the full rights to the game. Starting at £100 million. FK, despite being somewhat prepared, everyone in the meeting room was still shocked when William mentioned £100 million. 1. Some game distributors even shouted, are you crazy? £100 million? Have you gone mad for money? Ignoring the outbursts, William looked directly at Best Buy's representative and said, I believe Best Buy would be interested in a deal where spending £100 million could earn back over £300 million. This would significantly aid your plans for next year, right, Mr. Morris? Wood Morris was startled by William's direct gaze, thinking, does this kid know something? Impossible? The Best Buy board just agreed to go public next year. How could he know? 4. However, Morris was still unnerved by William's sudden statement, feeling as though William had seen through his plans. William, staring intently at Morris, knew he had guessed correctly about Best Buy's IPO plans. At this time, Best Buy was dominating the US market, having nearly acquired Netflix several times. If not for Best Buy's arrogance, underestimating the speed of online shopping growth and offering a low purchase price, Netflix wouldn't have had a chance. 5. So, at this moment, Best Buy was certainly not short on cash, but that might change after March this year. I need to report Best Buy's offer to the board. I can't make a decision on £100 million now, Mr. Devonshire. Let's leave it here for today and continue discussions in a few days, Morris said, trying to change the topic, feeling unsettled under William's gaze. William smiled at Morris and said, "All right, let's leave it at that for today. I'll await your good news, Mr. Morris." After bidding farewell to everyone in the meeting room, William ignored those trying to finalize deals on the spot and left with Anthony and his team from Moonlit Law Firm. The 6 of them went directly to a business suite at the Hilton Hotel. Anthony looked at the young man in front of him, barely 20 years old, and thought silently about the information that showed William Devonshire was born on December 7, 1980, making him just 19 years and 2 months old. 2. Anthony suddenly wished his son could be like William someday. "Congratulations, Mr. Devonshire. I think you're about to become the youngest billionaire in England. This is incredible. You've completely changed my perception of young people in this new century. You're amazing, William." "Congratulations," Anthony praised. 7. Taking the glass of wine from Anthony, William smiled and said, "Thank you. I think we need to sign a new contract now. I didn't expect things to go so smoothly. The real battle begins in 3 days. I've received information that Best Buy has plans to go public. I need your firm to fully support me, release information, and attract more potential clients. After all, many things sell better when there's competition." Anthony nodded and said, "You're right, Mr. Devonshire. Our current hourly contract is no longer suitable. You need comprehensive services from Moonlit Law Firm, and we will make all necessary preparations for you." "Okay, considering this deal involves over £100 million, I believe a 1% commission should satisfy your firm. And if this deal goes smoothly, I'll hire you as my personal lawyer. What do you think?" William said, looking Anthony in the eye. After a brief contemplation, Anthony agreed. A 1% commission would mean over £1 million. Moonlit was one of the top law firms in England, but he wasn't the only partner. Senior partners numbered in the teens, with dozens of junior partners. Such lucrative cases were rare, and even rarer for him to get. Moreover, as a private lawyer, his annual fee would be £300,000. Opportunities like this didn't come every year. Anthony quickly nodded. "No problem, Mr. Devonshire. We'll take this case." William extended his hand, smiling. "Then, let's have a pleasant cooperation." "Pleasant cooperation, Mr. Devonshire," Anthony replied, shaking William's hand. After clinking glasses with everyone and downing his Scotch whiskey, William sighed internally. "I never thought I'd become a billionaire so quickly. With this £100 million, my plans for after March will proceed more smoothly." 7. After signing the new contract, Anthony said, "Mr. Devonshire, since I'm now your lawyer, I must remind you of something." "Go ahead." "I think you should involve a bank and an insurance company now. For payments involving over £100 million, an insurance company is essential to ensure the fund's safety. And you should consider tax planning, whether to receive the funds in England or another country." "What's the difference?" William asked, puzzled. 1. Of course, Mr. Devonshire. If you want to get the money quickly, you should pay an insurance company. If the buyer fails to pay within the contract period, the insurance company will pay you first and handle the rest themselves. As for the receiving bank, if you set up the account in England, you'll have to pay taxes on the money. If the account is set up in Switzerland or the British Virgin Islands, these tax havens, you won't have to pay taxes. England can't track foreign bank accounts. However, getting these funds back to England legally can be tricky. If you want to bring the money back reasonably, the cost won't be much less than paying corporate income tax. Seeing William's eyes light up, Anthony cautioned, "But there's a major drawback. If the public finds out you didn't pay any taxes on this money, your reputation in English society could take a severe hit, possibly even fatal. Many people investigated for this haven't been able to escape scrutiny, and even if they don't get you, it could be a drawn-out affair. My suggestion is to set up a company in the British Virgin Islands and transfer half of your English company's shares to it, reducing your tax burden by half. Additionally, small and medium enterprises can get a 1.5x research and development cost tax rebate." "How much did you spend on game development, Mr. Devonshire?" William scratched his head. "Honestly, except for food and electricity, I didn't spend much. I did everything myself, designing the game, programming, developing, even creating and drawing the plants and zombies." Anthony stared at William like he was an alien. He thought game development would cost at least tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds. Now, William claimed he spent almost nothing. Anthony felt a headache coming on. "All right, I know you're a genius, but I didn't expect you to be this exceptional. I'll sort out other reasonable tax avoidance methods and report to you in a few days." William reluctantly nodded. "All right, I only have one requirement. Everything must be legal." Anthony nodded. "Of course, sir. I guarantee everything will be legal, and no one will find loopholes in these tax avoidance methods. That's what our firm excels at." "Good. Oh, Anthony, I need you to disseminate some of today's meeting data to the public. Leave out the final price, William whispered to Anthony. No problem. As long as you're prepared for paparazzi following you everywhere, I'll gladly help. William laughed. I've already prepared for the paparazzi to swarm me. Today's events can't be hidden for long. Anthony said, good to know. I was just thinking about how to counsel you. God bless, I hope the news doesn't spread too fast. No one expected Best Buy to value this game so highly. Did you get some insider information? That's a secret, William shrugged. I think we should finalize the British Virgin Islands company matter this afternoon. William's elementary wizard's intuition subtly warned him of impending trouble. Chapter 10, Hotel Security Guard Claudio. William's intuition proved to be reliable. Not far from the Hilton Hotel, inside a small car, John Taylor from The Sun was so excited he was trembling. He kept muttering to himself, I'm going to be rich. Haha, I'm going to be famous. After 5 or 6 years as a journalist, I've finally dug up a big scoop. Let's see what that fat boss has to say now. 1. The previous night, he had followed Chelsea's Dennis Wise to the Hilton, hoping to catch some scandalous photos. But after waiting all night, he got nothing. After his shift at 7 a.m., he swapped with his partner and walked into the Hilton, pretending to wait for someone. In reality, he was looking for his high school classmate Claudio, who worked at the Hilton. After sitting for about 10 minutes, John asked a staff member for directions to the restroom. After washing his face, brushing his teeth, and dealing with nature's call, he returned to the lobby, still pretending to wait. At around 8 a.m., John finally spotted Claudio and signaled to him discreetly. He calmly walked to the restroom, where Claudio joined him shortly after. As soon as Claudio entered the restroom, he grabbed John's collar and pulled him close, whispering angrily, Are you crazy, John? I'm working right now. If the supervisor sees this, I'll get fired. John, aware of Claudio's military background, quickly reassured him, Relax, Claudio. It's fine. There's no one else here, and we'll hear anyone coming. Listen, buddy, I followed Dennis Wise from Chelsea here. The same Dennis Wise who equalized against AC Milan at San Siro in the Champions League. Claudio asked. That's right. He's high-profile news right now. If we can get a picture of him cheating, we'll be rich. The Sun would pay at least £10,000 for that. You'd get half, which is 3 months of your salary, John enticed. Fuck, I got notified yesterday that a few major companies are coming here for a meeting today. I have to set up the conference room soon. Why now, of all times, do they have to hold a meeting? It's ruining my chance to make money. I was hoping to buy my kid a birthday present, Claudio complained. What time's the meeting? John asked. 9 a.m. Why? No worries. We still have time. Dennis Wise hasn't come out yet. It won't take long to set up the conference room. I'll wait for you in the lobby. Alright, I'll set up quickly and then wait at the service desk where I can see the elevators. If I spot Dennis Wise, I'll call you. Maybe I can even use the bug you gave me last time and plant it on him, Claudio said. That would be perfect, buddy. You should use your skills more. Playing it safe won't make you rich, John said. Enough nonsense. I have a wife and kids now. I can't take risks. I'll head to the conference room. Wait for my call, and don't fall asleep, Claudio joked. Get lost. I'm a professional journalist. Journalist? You're just a paparazzo. I'm a journalist, a university graduate in media studies, John growled quietly. All right. You're a journalist, Claudio said, rolling his eyes. A university degree didn't change the fact that John was still a paparazzo. Just as Claudio was about to leave the restroom, John's professional instincts kicked in. He called Claudio back and handed him a tape recorder. You said there are big companies meeting today. Let's play it safe and record it. You never know what we might catch. Are you nuts, John? We can't mess with these big companies. Don't get me in trouble, Claudio protested, not wanting to be caught as a corporate spy. Relax. We'll listen to it first. If it's not newsworthy, I won't send it to the paper. I don't want to risk my life either. Trust me, we'll listen together. If it's too risky, we won't do anything, John assured him. All right, but I won't give it to you first, John. If you want to mess with big companies, wait until you're a famous journalist. I don't want to visit you in jail. Screw you. If you end up in jail, I won't be joining you. Fine, I'll go now. Watch for my call. John waited the entire morning without hearing from Claudio. Just as he was about to call, Claudio's call came through. John hurriedly answered, Hey, buddy, any news? Did Dennis Wise come out yet? Forget about that shorty. John, we're going to be rich. Do you know what I recorded in the conference room? We're going to be rich. Your paper will pay a fortune for this recording. Claudio was excited, thinking he might earn a substantial amount, possibly several £1,000s, improving his financial situation significantly. He couldn't wait to call John. Wait for me, John. Get rid of your assistant. I'll come to your car. Remember, it's a secret, Claudio said before hanging up. Hello, John said a few more times before realizing Claudio had hung up. Recalling Claudio's instructions, he told his assistant, Peter, it's lunchtime. Go to the restaurant for lunch and take a break. I'll call you later. Peter knew John wanted him gone for some reason, so he nodded. All right, John. I am hungry. Want me to bring you something? You go ahead. I'll call when I'm hungry, John replied. Okay, then. I'm off, Peter said, opening the car door and heading to the restaurant. A few minutes later, Claudio, who had been watching from a distance, saw Peter enter the restaurant and quickly approached John's car, getting in. God, what did you record that's got you so cautious? Let me hear it, John demanded eagerly. Hold on. Just remember, I want half. If you try to cheat me, you'll regret it, Claudio warned. Okay, just play it. Claudio reached into his jacket pocket, not taking out the recorder, but pressing play while it remained inside his pocket. A young man's voice filled the car. Welcome, gentlemen. My name is William Devonshire. I am the creator, designer, and owner of Plants vs. Zombies. John had heard of Plants vs. Zombies. His younger brother had mentioned it recently, saying it was very popular among young people. His brother had even bought a game disc. As the recording continued, John listened intently. When he heard that in 15 days, Plants vs. Zombies merchandise sold 430,000 units in London and surrounding areas, generating £6.45 million at an average price of £15 per item, and that the game could sell 7 million copies, John's excitement grew. His hands trembled as his eyes lit up. 1. When William's voice said, starting at £100 million, John was genuinely shaking with excitement. He knew he had stumbled upon a massive scoop. If everything on the tape was true, it would be a sensational story, not just in England but potentially worldwide. This was a golden opportunity for a major career breakthrough. Hugging Claudio, John kissed his forehead, exclaiming, Buddy, you're my lucky star. We're going to be rich. This recording is worth at least £50,000. No one gets it for less. Claudio was also thrilled, thinking maybe he shouldn't play it safe all the time. His military training was proving useful. After calming down a bit, John said, Claudio, damn it, we need photos. Is William still at the hotel? We need to get his picture and dig up everything about him. This could be multiple front-page headlines for the Sunday. Yes, he's still there. I saw him this morning. Damn, he's handsome too. About to become a millionaire and he's good-looking. God really isn't fair, Claudio complained. Forget about God. Let's wait for him outside the hotel. I need to get his picture today. Come on, Mr. Special Agent, if I had your skills, I'd be rich already. Claudio chuckled. Wait, John. Let's park the car in a better spot for a quick getaway. After everything was set, the two of them, armed with cameras, staked out the hotel entrance. Claudio reversed his jacket and wore John's hat and mask, ready to snap William's photo as soon as he emerged. Chapter 11, My name is James Bond. William's intuition was still sharp. He sensed that something bad was about to happen to him. What he didn't expect was that following his instincts to rectify the situation would lead him straight into the waiting arms of Claudio and John at the hotel entrance. Quick, John? That young man coming out is William Devonshire. It's him? Start taking pictures, Claudio urged. The moment they saw William stepping out of the hotel with his entourage, John, who was ready, immediately began snapping photos rapidly. As soon as William walked out of the hotel, he felt someone's gaze on him. Turning his head, he saw two paparazzi hiding behind the flower bed, one of them snapping pictures non-stop. Caught off guard, William's brow furrowed. At that moment, he was already in a bad mood and instinctively wanted to cast an ice spell to freeze the paparazzo, preventing him from running away. But as he raised his hand, he realized he couldn't use magic at the hotel entrance in broad daylight. So, he turned the gesture into a wave and smiled at the paparazzi instead. Anthony, who was with William, saw the paparazzi and shouted, Who are you? No photos. He then instructed his interns to go stop the paparazzi and demand the photos. But John and Claudio, being experienced paparazzi and a former Special Forces operative, recognized the danger immediately. They bolted, sprinting across the street to a car and speeding away, not wanting to get entangled with the lawyer. Their swift escape left William stunned. The paparazzi's professionalism and quick response were impressive. I just wanted to say hi and offer to buy the photos back, he thought. With the paparazzi gone, his chance to settle things with money vanished. Unbeknownst to William, everything he had said in the conference room that morning had been recorded. If he had known, he would have been furious at the Hilton Hotel. But it wasn't until the next morning that he found out. 3. Seeing the paparazzi flee, William turned to Anthony and said, The paparazzi have noticed me. Anthony, we need to speed things up. We need to handle the company shares matter this afternoon. Anthony thought for a moment and then said, Mr. Devonshire, we can buy a pre-registered company in the British Virgin Islands. It'll cost a bit, but we can get it done in an hour or two. William immediately decided, all right, let's do that. Follow me, Mr. Devonshire, Anthony said, leading William to a business car that took them straight to the England company's registry. Half an hour later, at the company's registry, William spent £10,000 to buy an offshore company in the British Virgin Islands. He transferred 60% of Devonshire Industries shares to this offshore company. He then instructed Anthony to help him register 5 more offshore companies, planning to distribute the 60% shares among them, each holding between 8% and 12%. Going forward, he planned to handle his other companies similarly. In the year 2000, England couldn't tax its citizens globally like the US could. This way, William could save more than half of his taxes. England's tax system was primarily based on English bank accounts. Funds that didn't enter England were beyond the government's reach. As he sat idly in the registry, William wondered what to do with the £100 million once he had it. He recalled stories from his past life about companies like Alibaba, Tencent, and the gaming company NetEase, known for their immense value increase over time. 4. Maybe after the Nasdaq crash, I could buy some NetEase stocks. They were as low as 58 cents per share at one point. Holding onto them for a decade could yield over 1,000-fold profit, outperforming Alibaba and Tencent. Tencent's market cap was under 5 billion Hong Kong dollars in 2004. Investing £10 million could be worth £8 billion after a decade. That would be like picking up money. Reincarnation is indeed advantageous. If I don't take advantage of this, I'd be letting myself down. As for Alibaba, there might not be many opportunities now, but if Yahoo pulls out in a few years, there might be a chance. However, as an Englishman, I don't know if Alibaba would be interested in me. After sitting for a few hours and signing numerous documents, the registration of the companies and transfer of shares were finally completed by 4 p.m. Now, Devonshire Industries was no longer an English resident company, meaning the English government couldn't tax his offshore company. Thinking about saving £1 or £2 million in taxes, William happily took Anthony and his team out for a lavish dinner at a Michelin 3-star restaurant in London. After dinner, which William found less filling than expected, he realized he was still a bit of a country bumpkin. Despite soon becoming a billionaire, he still had his old habits. After dinner, Anthony dropped William back at the Hilton Hotel and headed back to the law firm with his colleagues. He had numerous documents to prepare for the negotiations in 3 days. While the main terms were set by William, the details would require extensive discussions, and these negotiations often took several days. Back in his hotel room, William watched TV out of boredom. With nothing interesting on and fearing hidden cameras, he didn't practice magic in the room. He didn't need to practice anyway, thanks to his system, which automatically improved his magic and mental strength. He decided to head to the hotel bar, thinking a drink might help him sleep better. Led by a waiter, William sat at the bar and ordered an Irish whiskey. Alone, he sipped his drink while watching the Premier League match. Chelsea was playing against Newcastle. This was before Abramovich's era in 2003, with Bates still the club chairman. Although Bates had saved Chelsea 20 years ago, he wasn't well liked among fans now, as he often sold star players for high prices, treating the club more like a business. William didn't recognize most of the players on the field and found the match boring. As a football novice, he was just passing the time. "Who do you support, young man?" came a voice beside him. Turning, William saw a handsome middle-aged man holding a whiskey and raising his glass in a friendly gesture. William thought the man looked familiar. Isn't this Pierce Brosnan, the guy who played James Bond? Is he talking to me? William wondered, unsure. "Hey, young man, it's rude to stare," Brosnan said, slightly annoyed. "Sorry, sir. You just look very familiar. My apologies. I'm William Devonshire." "Nice to meet you," William said, still uncertain. "Well, perhaps you have seen me before." "Hello, young man. I'm James Bond." "Nice to meet you," the man said in a gentlemanly manner, speaking with a perfect London accent, which puzzled William even more. 1. William knew Brosnan was Irish, and speaking with such a perfect London accent wasn't common unless you were a native. Did he just say his name is James Bond? "Pierce, are you kidding me? This role-playing has gone too far." 2. Seeing William's prolonged silence, Brosnan seemed displeased. "Hey, young man, this is the second time I'm telling you it's rude to stare. If you don't want to talk, I'll leave you alone," he said, turning away to drink his whiskey. "Sorry, Mr. Brosnan. I didn't recognize you at first." "Let me buy you a drink to apologize," William said, signaling the bartender for 2 more whiskeys and pushing one toward Brosnan. "All right, young man, I accept your apology. But my name is James Bond. Didn't I make that clear? Or do you know someone who looks like me named Pierce?" Brosnan said, raising an eyebrow. 1. Don't joke around. Everyone knows you're the Hollywood star Pierce Brosnan. "This joke isn't funny," William replied, rolling his eyes. 1. "No, I don't know who this Hollywood star you speak of is, but my name is James Bond." "Perhaps I should look into this Pierce fellow who makes you look like you've seen a ghost," Brosnan said, finishing his drink and standing up. "Until we meet again, young man. I hope you remember my name next time and don't mistake me for someone else. Good night," he said, adjusting his suit and leaving the bar. 2. William watched in stunned silence as Brosnan walked out. Damn, this guy is really into his role. He even acts like James Bond. Is he always like this? Do celebrities have such strange quirks? But in his mind, William had forgotten that this world wasn't his past life. In this world, anything was possible. 1 Chapter 12, Being Watched. William didn't pay much attention to Pierce's joke. He leisurely drank at the bar until the Chelsea vs Newcastle match ended. Finishing the last bit of his whiskey, he paid and headed back to his hotel room. 1. After a shower, he reflected on the day's encounter with Pierce Brosnan. It was a bit strange, but it was just a quirk of a big star, calling himself by his movie character's name. It didn't affect him, though he regretted not getting an autograph. 3. Turning on the hotel computer, he searched for Pierce Brosnan to see what the actor was doing in London. To his surprise, he found several people named Pierce Brosnan online, but none matched the man he met at the bar. How could this be? Pierce Brosnan was a big star, so why couldn't he find anything? As William was about to search for 007, a sharp sensation hit his brain, causing his hand to jerk away from the keyboard. His mental alertness was signaling danger. 2. Standing up suddenly, he scanned the hotel room and the building across the street with his mental power. As an elementary mage, his mental power could sense up to nearly 30 meters. His room was on the 12th floor of the Hilton, and the opposite building wasn't even half his room's height. Scanning the building, he didn't sense anyone watching him. The 6th floor couldn't possibly monitor the 12th floor. After scanning the hotel corridor, he found nothing suspicious. William was puzzled. Why did his mental alertness suddenly warn him of danger? Thinking carefully, he realized the warning came when he was about to type 007. Recalling the man in the bar who insisted he was James Bond and not Pierce Brosnan, it all clicked. This wasn't his past world. If that man was indeed James Bond, then his room must be under surveillance. Convinced that his computer was compromised, William scanned his room thoroughly again. Fortunately, there were no cameras. Technology in 2000 hadn't advanced to make cameras as tiny as they would be later. However, he did find a bug in the hotel phone. 3. Realizing he was indeed being monitored, William's mind raced to recall where he might have slipped up. After a long contemplation, he suspected it could only be the few times he practiced magic in his dorm. Fortunately, his cautious nature and the help of his system, which taught him magic without much practice, minimized the risk of exposure. Scanning his room one last time, he found no additional bugs or cameras. Drawing the curtains, he scanned the corridor and nearby rooms. Finding nothing suspicious, he put on his coat and left the room, heading for the stairs. He avoided the elevator, knowing better than to use it. Besides, hotels in this era weren't yet generous with cameras everywhere. He walked down the stairs, scanning each floor with his mental power. By the time he reached the 4th floor, he hadn't found anything unusual. The hotel was relatively empty during this off-season. Several floors had no occupants, and others had nothing suspicious. On the 4th floor, his mental power detected a delivery van parked beside the hotel. Why would a delivery van be there so late? Something was off. It reminded him of scenes from spy movies where agents monitored targets from such vans. Descending to the 2nd floor, he stopped. On the side facing the delivery van, he used Mage Hand to open a utility room. Carefully opening the window, he tried to eavesdrop but could only catch faint sounds. He needed a better way. Searching his memory for a solution, he found it. He extended his mental power, simulating a stethoscope, pressing it against the van's glass. Now he could hear clearly. For 10 minutes, he heard nothing useful, just mundane chatter. Then, finally, something interesting. Pete, is this guy asleep or what? It's been over an hour with no movement. Who cares if he's asleep? Why are we even monitoring this guy? He's just a regular university student. What's so special about him? Hey, you don't know. Know what? Is there something about this guy? I don't know much, but apparently, he's been on our watch list for years. Nothing special was found before, so he was off our radar until recently. Now he's caused some stir, so we're back on him. I heard from the daytime listening team that he was in a hotel conference room this morning, pitching a game for £100 million. That fat Richard from the shift change looked like he was going to explode. He's been watching William Devonshire for years. If he had bought the game when it was first made, he'd be rich now. Too bad he didn't, and now he's missing out. 2. $100 million? For a game? You've got to be kidding. Something called Plants vs. Zombies. I don't get it either. Wait, Plants vs. Zombies? I know that game. I even played it. So, this guy made it? But how can it be worth £100 million? No idea. After a pause, one of them sighed. I just reviewed his file. Nothing special. Single mother, raised in London, good student, won many awards, no girlfriend, always in the library or dorm. How can someone like this be worth monitoring? And he's so handsome, too. No girlfriend? Weird. But what's that to MI6? 4. Idiot, didn't you say the last part? Yeah, I saw it. What's the big deal? This guy made the game by himself in less than a month. Designed, programmed, even drew the characters. Network security folks at the office said it would take them months to do it, even if they knew the design. This guy did it solo in half a month. This guy's that good? No wonder he's back on the radar. Yeah, that's why we're here. And don't you see? Bond himself came to check him out. No idea what Bond concluded. But he's a mixed blood. He's part Chinese. 6. Get with the times, Pete. That's racial discrimination. No, I'm not racist. My girlfriend's black. Do you think I'm racist? 2. Who knows? With you, any pretty girl is fair game. You change girlfriends every few months. Screw you. I want a stable relationship too, but you never know when you're called on a mission for months. It's not like I want this. I think you like changing girls. Bastard, you're slandering me. Just then, a phone vibrated in the van. One man answered and said, someone's coming to relieve us. Bond's back and wants a report. Great. I can finally get some sleep. I was up till 1 a.m. and got called in before 6 a.m. Haha, you slept at your girlfriend's. Didn't she wear you out? Screw you. I'll punch you. Hearing them bicker, William waited another half hour but learned nothing new. Quietly, he returned to his room. Back in his room, William sighed with relief. At least they hadn't discovered his magic. Otherwise, there wouldn't be just 2 people monitoring him. However, he couldn't understand why Bond had approached him up close. For years, especially after his grandparents passed, William had sensed someone watching him and his mother. Now, hearing MI6, he understood that something his grandfather had or knew was of interest to them. But then he shook his head. Intelligence agencies wouldn't hesitate to use force if they wanted something badly. They wouldn't just monitor for nearly a decade. Perhaps it was important but not an immediate threat. Or maybe someone was also protecting him while he was under surveillance. Shivering at the thought, William decided to act as if he knew nothing. With the game deal nearing, he didn't want to cause trouble. Chapter 13, Buying Back the Family Castle 1. Returning to the hotel room, he no longer cared about being watched and had a good night's sleep. The next morning, before getting up, William received a call from Anthony, his lawyer. William answered the phone groggily. Hello, sorry, boss, for calling so early, but I think you should look at today's Sun newspaper. Call me after you decide what to do. William hung up Anthony's call and used the hotel room phone to request the front desk to send up today's Sun newspaper. Ding dong, the doorbell rang just as William finished brushing his teeth. He rinsed his mouth, wiped it with a towel, and opened the door to receive the newspaper from the hotel attendant. The female attendant glanced at William and then at the newspaper in his hand. Her eyes instantly lit up, and she flirted with him. Sir, this is today's Sun newspaper. William took the newspaper and looked at the attendant, who was quite pretty. He smiled at her as a greeting. Seeing William smile at her, the attendant threw him a flirtatious look. Sir, do you need anything else? Our hotel can satisfy any need you have, any need at all, sir. Seeing his picture on the front page of the newspaper, William immediately lost interest in the beautiful attendant. He smiled at her and said, No, thank you. If I need anything, I'll call the front desk. Thanks. He handed her a £10 tip and closed the door. Disappointed, the attendant left. She had seen the headline of today's Sun on her way up, recognizing the young man in the picture as the one who had just taken the paper. A young, handsome billionaire. If she could have something happen with him, she'd be set for life. Unfortunately, William wasn't interested. 6. William sat on the sofa in his room and stared at the front page headline of the Sun featuring a large half-body photo of himself. He felt terrible. Suppressing his anger, he finished reading the article. All he wanted now was to kill the paparazzo from yesterday. How did they know what he said in the meeting room in such detail? It was as if the paparazzo had been taking notes right there. Not only did they know his name and school, but they also knew his family's situation. Should he commend English paparazzi for being the ancestors of the trade or the Sun newspaper for its extensive reach? Seeing a picture of his mother, Lena Devonshire, in the middle of the headline, William grew worried about her and called her immediately. The phone rang a few times before Lena answered. Hello, William. Good morning, Mom. Do you need something? I'm about to go to work. If it's not urgent, I'll call you back at noon. William could hear Lena closing her car door. Mom, we already discussed this, and we agreed you don't need to work so hard anymore. Mom, I can make money now, and you don't have to live like before. Yes, honey. I didn't break our agreement. Actually, I wanted to surprise you, but I guess I have to tell you now. The other day, I used the £1 million you gave me to buy a coffee shop on Oxford Street. Thank you, darling. Without you, I wouldn't know when I'd be able to fulfill my dream of owning a coffee shop. I'm so happy I could live there every day, Lena said, laughing joyfully. 4. William was pleased that his mother had bought a coffee shop on Oxford Street, but you don't have to go so early. I just want to see my coffee shop. I feel uneasy if I don't. It's fine, darling. I'll take good care of myself. All right, Mom, as long as you're happy. Initially, William didn't have £1 million, but later he signed a merchandising contract with Hasbro, giving him a 20% share of the sales revenue, not just the profit. From the £645 million in sales, he received £129 million. After receiving this money, William gave his mother £1 million to buy something she liked, specifically telling her she could ask for more if it wasn't enough. 4. Giving Lena the money was to make her feel secure and relaxed. He didn't expect her to buy a coffee shop directly. Remembering why he called, William cautiously said, Mom, I have something good to tell you. Are you in the car now? Lena, puzzled, asked. Go ahead. Did you do something wrong? I'm just sitting in the car, not driving. No, Mom, I didn't do anything wrong. I just want you to check today's Sun newspaper. There's some news about me that I don't know how to explain. You'll understand when you see it, William said carefully. God, the Sun. William, you didn't get involved with some celebrity and get caught by paparazzi, did you? How is that possible? Tell me what happened. Oh, darling, you better not tell me she's pregnant. I'm not ready to be a grandmother. You better hope I'm not angry after reading the newspaper, or you'll be in big trouble, Lena exclaimed. 1. Wait, Mom, it's not what you think. Anyway, I think you should come home after reading the paper. Don't go to the coffee shop today. All right, I'll go buy a Sun now. I want to see what you've done to get reported in the Sunday. 1. William listened to the dial tone, then set the phone down, patting his forehead, waiting for Lena to call back. He knew she would call back immediately after seeing the newspaper. Sure enough, within 10 minutes, Lena called back, and William answered to hear a sharp scream. William, darling, tell me the newspaper is true. Tell me, is it true? Are you really going to be a billionaire? 9. Yes, Mom, if everything goes well, what the newspaper says is true, William said, bringing the phone back to his ear. After a moment of silence, he heard Lena crying. "Mom, are you okay?" William asked anxiously. "I'm fine. I'm just happy. William, I thought of your grandparents. If they were alive to see you become a billionaire, they'd be so happy. Unfortunately, they didn't live to see you grow up and went to heaven with regret," Lena sobbed. "Mom, Grandma, and Grandpa would be happy for me too. Don't cry, Mom. Are you home? I'll come see you," William comforted. "Yes, I'm home. William, come home. I have something to tell you." "I'll be waiting, darling," Lena said. "Okay, Mom, I'll come right away. Wait for me." After hanging up, William called the front desk for hotel services. In the hotel car, William was worried about his mother and kept urging the driver to hurry. His home was not far from Oxford Street, a small two-story stone house left by his grandfather. The first floor was over 80 square meters with a living room, kitchen, and bathroom. The second floor had 3 rooms and a balcony over 10 square meters. In his memories, he loved spending time on the balcony. Now, William stayed at school, and the other 2 rooms were rented out short-term for £1,200 a month. When he got home, he saw Lena waiting for him in the living room. William rushed to hug his mother. Lena held him tightly, not wanting to let go. Seeing his mother so emotional, William tried to distract her. "Mom, you said you had something to tell me." Yes, William, I have something to tell you." Lena led him to sit on the sofa. "William, I didn't expect you to become a billionaire, so there's something I need to tell you. Do you remember the castle your grandparents and I used to take you to in Oxford when you were little?" 4. William thought for a moment and recalled the castle near Oxford University, though he couldn't remember how big it was. "I remember, Mom. It's near Oxford University, right?" "Yes, that's the one. That castle used to be the Devonshire family castle. Unfortunately, after World War II, Henry couldn't pay the inheritance tax and had to sell it. Your grandfather's biggest wish was to buy back that castle and estate, but he never got the chance. William, I want you to buy it back and rename it Devonshire Castle when the time is right. That was your grandparents' greatest wish. Can you promise me that?" 4. "All right, Mom, if that's all, I can promise you now. I could even buy it by the end of this year and give it to you." William was confident about this promise. In a few months, the world would fall into an economic recession, and a year later, English property prices would plummet by 50%. English castles were already not very valuable, and Oxford was not in London. The castle wouldn't be that expensive. In his memories, the castle was quite large, surrounded by woods, grasslands, a small lake, and a river. However, as a child, he found the castle eerie and didn't want to go back there. But since his mother cared so much about it, he could just renovate it after buying it. Chapter 14, Front Page News. England, February 11th. Today, the entire country is abuzz with discussions about a young man named William Devonshire, a 19-year-old student at the University of London. In the early morning, when people picked up the Sun, the first thing they saw was the headline on the front page. Can you believe it? He will be England's youngest billionaire. William's half-body photo occupied the entire front page. 5. In the photo, William was dressed in a suit, a confident smile on his young face, his right hand raised as if greeting the public. The young man in the picture was enviably handsome. Most readers initially thought, the Sun is at it again with its clickbait headlines, probably just another rich kid flaunting wealth in the newspaper. How could a 19-year-old be a billionaire? If he's not a trust fund kid, anyone who believes this is a fool. The Sun is losing its journalistic integrity. 1. However, after reading the article, the entire nation couldn't help but feel a mix of envy and admiration towards William. Many thought, why isn't he my child, or why can't I be this guy? 5. Even though the article left some doubt about whether he was truly a billionaire, it mentioned that this guy had made over £2 million in a month. People were stunned, thinking, is today April Fool's Day? How could a 19-year-old university sophomore make £2 million in a month? Why can't such good fortune happen to me? Calming down, readers had to believe it because the newspaper published sales data for Carrefour's t-shirts, hats, mugs, and other daily goods over the past half-month. If it were fake, Carrefour would surely sue the Sun. After reading the detailed introduction to William Devonshire, most people first felt discontent and then fell silent. Many reread the second-page editorial by the chief editor. In my 20-plus years in journalism, I've seen many unbelievable things. But when I received the data from our reporter, I was stunned and then overjoyed. We've heard so much about American IT geniuses and their overnight fortunes, but never about such a genius in England. This used to frustrate me. Why couldn't our great England produce such a genius? But at midnight, when I saw the data in my hands, I was so excited that I wrote this report overnight. Dear readers, let me introduce you to our very own homegrown genius, William Devonshire, the most talented 20-year-old in the world today. Yes, I said the most talented because I can't find anyone among the world's 20-year-olds who surpasses him. 1. William Devonshire, born on December 7, 1980, at St. Mary's Hospital in London. His mother is Lena Devonshire, and his father is unknown. We couldn't find any information on him. His grandfather was Earl Henry Winston Devonshire. Seeing the name Devonshire, do you think of something? Yes, you're right. Henry Winston Devonshire's ancestor was the famous Duke of Devonshire. However, Henry's branch of the family fell into decline over 60 years ago during World War II. Henry was born in 1928, but his youth was difficult. At 14, his father, the old Earl, and 3 uncles died in the war for England. In 1946, due to the Nobility Inheritance Act, the 18-year-old Henry couldn't keep his family's estates and castle. He inherited only the title of Earl of Oxford and a small amount of property, marrying at 31 and having a daughter, Lena Devonshire, at 33. This was his only child. For the past 50 years, Earl Henry remained obscure. We only knew him as a mid-level manager at the London Electric Company. Without today's report, no one would pay attention to this family that lost all its adult males in the war. I salute the Devonshire family and the heroes who sacrificed their lives for the country. Lena Devonshire, born in September 1961, is an ordinary noble descendant. For the past 39 years, she remained equally obscure. We only know that she went on a skiing trip to Switzerland 20 years ago and returned pregnant with William. After giving birth, Lena had a few short-lived relationships but never remarried, dedicating herself to raising William alone. When William was 10, the Earl and his wife passed away, their medical expenses draining the family's savings. Lena worked many jobs to support William's education, sometimes holding 2 jobs. She is a great mother. Yesterday, our reporters followed up and found that Lena recently bought a 110 square meter coffee shop on Oxford Street. Her hardships have finally paid off. I wish this great mother all the best. Readers cursed, damn it, follow-up reporting? We know it's paparazzi stalking, and you have the nerve to call it follow-up reporting. Who doesn't know The Sun is a tabloid? 2. The Devonshire family hadn't had any notable events or people in the past 60 years, and their title had passed to a distant branch. But reality is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. The Devonshire family changed with the new millennium. 1. William Devonshire, a 19-year-old boy from a single-parent family, was often ostracized because of his mixed heritage and had few friends, spending most of his time studying. To his peers, he was a bookworm with no friends or hobbies unless archery and swimming count. But if you think he's just a bookworm, you're wrong. From what our reporters gathered during this business negotiation, William performed exceptionally well. He had a thorough understanding of the business needs and bottom lines of large companies. Negotiators often had to follow his lead because he always knew what these companies wanted. Most importantly, William Devonshire developed a hit game and ingeniously boosted sales of its merchandise, increasing the game's value several times over. Carrefour and marketing students at the University of London must be the happiest. In less than a month, William made £2 million for Carrefour and over £300,000 in part-time wages for university students. Before the new millennium, William was a promising young man with academic talent. Perhaps after graduation, he would have found a £3,000 a month IT job and lived an ordinary life. There weren't high expectations for him. But after the new millennium, everything changed. It seemed like he had been kissed by God, who bestowed wisdom upon him. Otherwise, it's hard to imagine how he completed in half a month what would typically take dozens of people months or even years to accomplish, and he did it brilliantly. 2. Professional game designers and programmers who tested the game Plants vs. Zombies couldn't believe it was developed by one person in half a month. After confirmation from our reporters, everyone exclaimed, "William Devonshire, you are truly a genius." Chapter 15, England's foggy city needs sunshine flowers. Let's talk about why William Devonshire is considered a true genius. Plants vs. Zombies is a strategy game that initially appeared only in London and its surrounding areas. A month ago, William was an unknown sophomore, but this seemingly ordinary young man managed to complete the work of game designers, artists, and programmers all by himself in just half a month. 1. After finishing the game, he also took on the role of a game tester. According to our information, no one has found any bugs in the game so far. William then took on the roles of sales manager and logistics manager. He negotiated the game disc pressing by himself. It's said that the businessman who pressed the discs for William is now regretting not buying the game or signing a distribution contract when William approached him. Instead, he just charged William the standard 46 pence per disc, missing out on a fortune. The businessman is now heartbroken and sleepless after realizing the opportunity he missed. After completing 150,000 game discs, he never received another order from William, losing countless potential earnings. A penniless young man half a month ago, after completing the game, William had no money for promotion and knew no game distributors. He had to find a way to promote the game himself. So how did he do it? After reviewing William's promotional plan, I believe universities might incorporate this real-life case study into their marketing courses in the future. To my knowledge, there is no sales strategy like William's in the current market. How did he do it? William smartly leveraged his advantages. After completing the game, he brought it to the computer science department at the University of London, letting members of the Game Interest Club test it out. After receiving widespread praise from his peers, he asked them if they would buy the game for £5 each. His peers, believing the game should sell for at least £8 to £10, were eager to purchase it for £5, a price cheaper than a few hamburgers for a game they liked. William's real brilliance shone in his marketing strategy. Knowing he lacked promotion channels, funds, and helpers, he came up with a plan to get his university peers to buy the game discs willingly. He first registered all copyrights and spent £500 to register 2 companies, one in England and one in Ireland. He sold the game's sales rights to his Irish company for £1 per disc, thus circumventing the issue of not having the rights to sell the game discs in England. 4. Those familiar with the relationship between England and Ireland will understand this move. After signing a contract with his university peers to sell the game at £4 per disc, his peers sold them to their friends and classmates for £6 each. On the first day, one marketing student reportedly sold 200 game discs, earning £400 in a day. Even I, as an editor for over 20 years, don't make £400 a day. Maybe I should ask our genius for advertising fees and royalties. The game first became popular at the University of London, and through the students' word of mouth, it quickly spread to other universities around London. Soon, middle school and elementary school students, followed by their parents and relatives, all knew about this incredibly fun game. Within a month, Plants vs. Zombies sold 150,000 game discs in London and its surrounding areas. This method of gaining fame in colleges and then spreading through students to society at large is nothing short of genius. Without spending a penny on promotion, the game started making money from day one. William also convinced Carrefour's London manager to sell game-related merchandise, selling £6.45 million worth of merchandise in half a month. 1. Attracting top companies like EA, Ubisoft, Bethesda, and Carrefour within a month, isn't that a sign of genius? Absolutely. When I read that William was asking for a starting price of £100 million for the game, I was stunned. I don't know if the game can truly sell for £100 million, but based on estimates from game industry agents, this game could sell 7 to 8 million or even 10 million copies worldwide. If each game sells for £8, I would definitely buy one just to see what kind of game is driving young people crazy. Moreover, with Carrefour selling 430,000 pieces of game-related merchandise worth over £6.25 million in half a month, I can't say for sure if a company will buy the game's full rights for £100 million. But I want to tell William that keeping the game could earn him far more than £100 million. In a few years, this game might become the most popular and best-performing game from England worldwide. It could become a symbol of England's global influence in the gaming world. I want to tell William not to sell it. Don't sell London's new favorite. Don't sell the long-awaited hope of London's citizens. England hasn't had a cultural export that can impact the world for too long. We need this game to mark the victory of English culture in the new millennium. 7. Otherwise, you'll be London's villain. 2. At home, William listened to his mother, Lena, reading Today's Sun with great enthusiasm and drama. Hearing the last part, William couldn't help but curse the editor of The Sun in his mind. London's symbol? London needs it? You just need to write this way to attract more readers and create more controversy. This was troublesome. William could foresee that in a few days, there would be people opposing his sale of the Plants vs. Zombies rights. Some London Council members might even make a fuss about it. It was really a headache. 3. Though angry, William calmed down and thought about it. Despite the Sun catching him off guard and affecting his game sales, it ultimately brought him more benefits. Now, all of England would know about a game priced at £100 million, accelerating its fame. Whether he sued the Sun or the negligent Hilton, both actions required money. Without money, a lawsuit dragging on for half a year or a year would exhaust him. But if he became a billionaire, everything would be different. Today's report would pressure the companies interested in buying the game since new competitors would soon emerge. As the game gained more fame, it wouldn't just be game discs and merchandise making money. The game's cartoon characters might appear in theme parks, books, movies, TV shows, and plush toys, potentially becoming as globally popular as Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. That's all money. Yesterday, William was calculating the potential sale of the game rights for £100 million to Bethesda. After today, Bethesda might be the one rushing. Such a promising project related to their core business doesn't come around every year. If Bethesda wants to increase its market value after going public, it can't afford to miss this project. 2. It seems £100 million is just the starting point. William silently rejoiced, thinking that in a few days, he might really become a billionaire. Chapter 16, blocked at home by reporters. Seeing his mother's happy and proud expression, William felt equally satisfied. Without the pressure of money and life struggles, and no longer having to worry about her son's future, Lena seemed to be rejuvenated, talking much more than usual. William, the Sun is really incredible. They found out most of our family history in just one day. Although some things are inaccurate, most of it is true. It's a shame that I couldn't inherit your grandfather's title because I'm a woman. But it seems you have a chance to inherit the Earl's title. Aunt Mary Hendricks from Oxford told me the Earl of Oxford has been trying for 10 years and still has no heir. Let's not bother with that, Mom. You know how suppressed the English nobility is now. Nobles don't dare to reveal their status. Besides a few paltry tax benefits, their social status and influence have plummeted, and they face restrictions everywhere. Only those whose careers and reputations have hit a ceiling seek the title of Sir to boost their visibility and expand their networks. Who cares about noble titles anymore? Lena nodded sadly. Yes, if it weren't for the Nobility Inheritance Act, your grandfather wouldn't have borrowed money to inherit the title, only to sell the family castle and assets to repay the debt. By the time the title reached my generation, there were no male heirs to inherit it, and your grandfather died in despair. Henry's biggest regret was that the title was inherited by a distant relative with no familial affection. Even after 10 years, that scoundrel hasn't produced an heir. The title will eventually come back to our family. With William now possessing immense wealth, Lena couldn't help but entertain new ideas. She knew of a dormant force waiting to be reactivated, but she decided not to tell William about it yet, fearing it might affect his negotiations with the gaming companies. 5. Unaware of his mother's thoughts, William comforted her. All right, Mom, let's not dwell on this. Besides, what's the point of discussing it now? We'll talk about it when the time comes. Titles are just titles. Who knows when England might abolish the nobility? With so many people opposing the aristocratic system, we shouldn't concern ourselves with it. Lena lightly slapped William's arm. No, the title must be reclaimed. You were too young to understand your grandfather's pain and helplessness. Titles do have many benefits. Otherwise, why do you think Parliament works so hard to suppress the nobility? They're afraid the nobles will gain too many advantages. Yes, Mom, you're right. But don't forget, I'm not a pure-blooded Englishman. If I were to inherit a title, who knows how many people would oppose it? We're doing fine as we are. You can live your life peacefully. When my children are born in a few years, our family will become lively again. Hearing William talk about grandchildren, Lena playfully complained, William, you can't bring me a grandchild now. I'm not ready to be a grandmother. I'm only 39. I haven't even accepted the fact that you've grown up. Thinking about becoming a grandmother gives me a headache. God, it means I'm getting old. 2. Thinking about a cute baby calling him daddy, William felt a mix of joy and nervousness. Having never been a father in either of his lives, he wasn't sure how to handle it. Don't worry, Mom. I'm only 19 and don't even have a girlfriend. How could I become a father now? 2. Lena, worried, said, William, you should get a girlfriend. Otherwise, the newspapers will start saying you're gay. 3. William nodded in agreement. He no longer needed to pretend to be a quiet, studious bookworm. But finding a girlfriend should happen naturally. The phone rang, and William saw it was Anthony calling. He walked to the window to answer it. Hello, Anthony. Anthony's anxious voice came through the line. Hello, boss. Have you decided how to respond to today's Sun article? Maybe we should send them a legal notice to warn them. We can't let them act so recklessly. 2. Thinking about using the Sun to position himself as a genius and push for keeping the game in England, William replied seriously, no need for now. Today's report is fairly normal. While it may cause some negative impact, the benefits are greater. Offending the media now would be more detrimental. I need the media to speak well of us. As long as they're not spreading malicious lies, let them report. After a moment of thought, Anthony agreed. All right, Mr. Devonshire. I'll do as you say and carefully review every paper's comments. I won't disturb you further. Goodbye, Mr. Devonshire. Goodbye, Anthony. Call me if anything comes up. Understood. Hanging up the phone, William opened the curtains, and suddenly flashes went off, followed by a barrage of camera flashes. Looking outside, he saw that his house was now surrounded by reporters. William, can we have an interview? William, I'm a reporter from the Times. Can you give me an interview? William, I'm with the Telegraph. Can you give us an exclusive interview? Seeing reporters from major English newspapers like the Times, the Telegraph, and the Guardian, William felt his head swell. They had come so quickly. Looking at the excited reporters outside, William knew he wouldn't have peace until he addressed them. It was also a good opportunity to convey some favorable messages about the game. Mom, there are too many reporters outside. I'm going to go deal with them. William, be careful with your words. Don't fall into their traps, Lena cautioned. Got it, Mom. I'll be careful. Opening the door, William stepped onto the front steps and smiled at the photographers. All right, everyone, I'll accept your interview. But please stay safe. You can ask me 3 questions. After that, please leave the street. You're disturbing the other residents, and they might call the police. Hearing about the possibility of the police being called, the reporters quieted down a bit, but soon started shouting again. They weren't afraid of the police, they could just leave if the police came. All right, only 3 questions. Otherwise, I'll refuse the interview. I have the right to do that, William shouted. A clever reporter quickly asked, William, I'm Linda from the Times. How did you calculate the £100 million asking price? Do you think anyone will pay that much? That's 2 questions, ma'am. But since you're a lady, I'll let the first one slide, William smiled. The Sun's morning report already explained it clearly. The game discs alone could sell for over £60 million. Once the game becomes popular, I believe the merchandise could easily sell over £100 million annually. Note that I said annually. And that's not even counting plush toys, movies, TV shows, books, theme parks, and other merchandise. Plus, the game's intangible value in boosting the company's brand is significant. For public companies, this can be several times, even dozens of times, the purchase price. Just look at the stock market's enthusiasm for IT companies from 1995 to last year. If I were to sell for £200 million now, many companies would be interested. Chapter 17, famous throughout England. The reporters were stunned when they heard the figure of £200 million. They had already thought that 100 million was a sky-high price, but now hearing William say that buying the game could raise the stock price by hundreds of millions or even billions, they silently considered it and found it very plausible. Given the current bullish market, William's prediction might indeed come true, which would mean buying the game could lead to huge profits. Tomorrow's headlines were ready. £200 million is its true value. Seeing the reporters fall silent, William smiled inwardly. Buying now might indeed boost the stock price as he had said, but it would be uncertain after March this year. All right, there's one more question. Does anyone have something to ask? Reminded by William, a reporter quickly asked, Mr. Devonshire, are you really related to the Duke of Devonshire? Do you have any noble inheritance rights? 3. William glared at the questioning reporter. This was a trap. These London reporters were never kind. We're not related. If you must know, I can only say we share an ancestor. Our branch of the Devonshire family became nobility over 1,000 years ago, more than 600 years before the current Duke's family. Other than that, there's no relation. I'm not of noble birth, my mother has no noble inheritance rights, and we are ordinary people now. Does that satisfy you? The reporter, dissatisfied, continued, but, according to our information, the Earl of Oxford has no heir, making you the sole heir to the title. What are your thoughts on that? William didn't know how to respond. If he said he wanted it, it would seem too deliberate. If he said he didn't, it would be a lie. So, he played dumb, no thoughts. I've answered 3 questions, so that's it. Please don't crowd this street anymore, thank you. Ignoring the reporter's shouts for him to answer the previous question, William walked away. He only accepted the interview to use the media to put more pressure on companies wanting to buy the game rights. He had no interest in anything else. By February 12th, all of England's newspapers were reporting on William. Today's papers were even more detailed, with some reporters finding his former teachers and classmates from elementary and middle school to dig up everything about his past. The Times and the Financial Times, serious newspapers, ran long articles about William's comments on how game rights could boost a company's stock price, even bringing in many economists and stock managers to explain. Interestingly, several experts on site largely agreed with William's view, believing there was a 90% chance his prediction would come true in the current investment environment. Even the morning news on TV played clips of William's interview. People saw this young, handsome, smart, and wealthy man speaking eloquently and convincingly in front of reporters, instantly making William a household name in England. 1. Some tabloids even focused on William's middle school days, where he once confessed to a girl. They found the girl, now a grown woman, who said she hoped to reconnect with William and regretted not accepting him back then, wishing for another chance. 6. William was baffled by these tabloid stories. He couldn't even remember what that girl looked like. The downside of sudden fame was that William and Lena couldn't leave their home, with a crowd of reporters outside waiting for big news. Even the 2 office workers renting from him almost couldn't leave the street this morning. The 2 female white-collar workers were surrounded by a mob of reporters, asked countless questions, and finally rescued by the police. Even the rarely seen Duke of Devonshire was questioned by reporters about his relationship with William's family. The old Duke, still very amiable, said he was delighted to see such an outstanding descendant from the Devonshire family. He mentioned meeting William's grandfather, Henry Winston Devonshire, and having a good chat with him. Although William had no contact with them now, as the bloodline of the same ancestor, the old Duke expressed a warm welcome to William and his mother to visit. Hearing the Duke personally acknowledge William as a Devonshire family descendant, the reporters went wild, reporting extensively. William remarked to his mother Lena after reading these reports, experience really does come with age. The newspapers have given the Devonshire family a free advertisement across England. The older, the wiser. William had been trapped at home for 3 days. During these days, many big companies had sent people to London to negotiate with him, including Disney, which wanted to discuss licensing Plants vs. Zombies toys with Hasbro. But William wouldn't agree now. He told every company that contacted him to come to the Hilton Hotel on February 15th for unified negotiations. Honestly, William had considered keeping the Plants vs. Zombies rights, but after careful thought for 2 days, he decided to sell. First, he lacked the sales channels and would still need to authorize other companies, which would be too difficult and time-consuming to build himself. It would be better to focus on new projects. Second, with the imminent Nasdaq crash, the IT-related companies would struggle for the next 2 years with plummeting stock prices. It would be wiser to sell the game now while the market was at its peak. Third, if he kept the game, he feared he wouldn't be able to protect it. The game was too famous now, and many would try to wrest the rights from him. Everyone agreed on its potential to boost stock prices. 1. Fourth, he planned to invest the proceeds from the sale into shorting the Nasdaq. Even if he lacked financial expertise, he had money. He could go to Switzerland, have a bank handle it, and make sure the traders followed his shorting strategy for a few months, guaranteeing at least a 5-fold profit. He would leave 40% of the money in England, use the rest in Swiss offshore accounts to enter the stock market, and keep the profits in Switzerland, avoiding English taxes altogether. Even if the English authorities found out, there was nothing they could do. He wouldn't return to England, so they couldn't touch him. Future acquisitions would be made through offshore companies. Chapter 18, finally free from financial worries. On February 15th, William woke up early and put on the bespoke suit he had ordered from a private tailor on Oxford Street. With the help of his mother Lena, he neatly tied his tie. The Hilton Hotel staff had already sent a car to pick him up. 2. All of England was watching the auction of the game rights today. The Hilton Hotel, which couldn't pass up such a high-profile event, was eager to host it. After the previous incident involving a recording leak, the Hilton Hotel went all out to win William's favor by not charging him a penny for today's event. They even provided free transportation, security, and a complimentary reception after the auction. They also gave William a platinum card offering a 40% discount at Hilton hotels worldwide. Not wanting to complicate matters at this critical juncture, William graciously accepted the benefits while mentally noting to repay the favor in the future. 4. The provided security was a blessing as it allowed him to leave his house without much hassle and get to the Hilton Hotel smoothly. Reporters were especially aggressive today, all eager to get a scoop directly from William. Upon arriving at the Hilton Hotel, Anthony's law firm had already arranged for an auctioneer, and the hotel staff was making the final preparations. Today, William didn't have to say much on stage. The media frenzy over the past few days had made the auction well known. Companies interested in the game would definitely send representatives, and the competition would be fierce, making it impossible for William to back out of selling. Because he had already signed contracts with the law firm and the insurance company, the game rights would only revert to him if no one bid at least £100 million, which was highly unlikely. There were many more companies present today than there had been in the previous days. From what William had learned from Anthony, several medium-sized companies had teamed up to bid and then planned to divide the regional distribution rights among themselves. William met many people in the hotel's event hall, and they all spoke highly of him. After all, this young man could hold his own against dozens of seasoned professionals. At 9 a.m., the auctioneer took the stage, greeted the bidders, and officially started the auction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Christie's Gold Gloves, here to serve you today. I am pleased to host this auction. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the auction officially begins. 1. The auctioneer jokingly held up a file folder, saying, "This is a bag of paper worth over £100 million. Each sheet is worth £3 million. I hope the winner won't feel shortchanged." The crowd laughed, understanding that the folder contained the rights documents, which indeed were just paper. All right, joke aside. Gentlemen, I have here a joint commitment letter from 3 major London law firms, certifying that all rights to Plants vs. Zombies are held by Mr. William Devonshire and that there are no copyright disputes. This transaction is underwritten by England's largest insurance company to ensure payment within 7 days of the auction. In case of default, the insurance company will claim double the auction amount. Any questions? After a minute of silence, the auctioneer continued, "Ladies and gentlemen, the most exciting moment has arrived. The full rights to Plants vs. Zombies start at £100 million. The auction is now open. Please bid." As soon as the auctioneer finished, someone raised their paddle. 100 million. Lot 19 offers £100 million. Any other bids? 105 million. 110 million. After just a few rounds, the price had reached 110 million. William, sitting below, felt pleased with his strategy. His comments to the media had paid off. 120 million. William saw the bid from Bystar's representative. 3. Disney's representative raised the paddle. 125 million. At this price, the bidders started to hesitate. William rolled his eyes when he saw Carrefour's representative, who hadn't bid at all and seemed to be just spectating. Earlier, this man had confidently assured William that their board had authorized him to bid aggressively for the game rights. 130 million. The Bystar representative glared at Disney's people. Disney's representative hesitated for a while, with their assistant constantly on the phone, presumably reporting back to headquarters. Any more bids? Going once, going twice. 133 million. Disney's representative placed the final bid. Everyone could see the Bystar people looking at Disney's representative with resentment, as Disney's participation had driven up the price significantly. Bystar's representative gritted his teeth and bid 135 million. After repeated prompting from the auctioneer, Disney's representatives did not bid again, signaling their limit. Third call, sold. The auctioneer's hammer fell with a decisive thud, marking the successful sale. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. This auction is officially concluded. William happily shook hands with Bystar's representative, took photos, and both sides appeared pleased. Led by their lawyers, both parties sat down to sign the contract. William, guided by his lawyer, signed the agreement. William and Bystar then signed the formal insurance and financial contracts with the insurance company and the bank. Bystar's payment would be divided into 2 parts, 40% to William's account in England and 60% to an offshore account in the British Virgin Islands. The total cost for insurance and banking guarantees was 4% of the sale price, plus 1% for the law firm, totaling £6.75 million. William found this acceptable, as spending a few million ensured he'd receive the money within 7 days. Delays beyond March could introduce too many uncertainties. If Bystar failed to pay within the specified time, the insurance company and bank would directly compensate William and then pursue Bystar for the owed amount. After signing the contracts, they celebrated with a reception at the Hilton Hotel. After mingling with some charitable organizations and unknown women, William finally found himself alone at the buffet, picking food. Hungry since he hadn't eaten that morning, he was enjoying himself when he heard a voice behind him. "Hello, William." Chapter 19, lifting 007 with one hand. Hello, Mr. Devonshire. William turned around at the sound and saw the man who had previously introduced himself as James Bond, holding a glass of wine and smiling at him. Remembering Bond's earlier joke, William laughed and teased, "I still can't remember your name, Mr. Bond." Bond smiled and responded, "Thank you for remembering me. Congratulations, William, England's youngest billionaire." 9. Rolling his eyes and feeling wary, William replied calmly, "Mr. Bond, if you have something to say, you can be direct." Still waiting to receive his money, William had no interest in getting involved with Bond and the Secret Services. Being approached by them meant trouble, indicating that they were interested in some secret he possessed. He grew even more cautious, aware of the enormous secret he carried, the system and magic, which he absolutely couldn't reveal. Bond could sense William's wariness and distance. "Okay, William, I'm here to introduce you to someone." "Who?" William asked. "Follow me, it's not far, just in the hotel cafe." Bond indicated for William to follow him to the hotel's cafe. Before entering, William noticed 2 burly bodyguards at the entrance, suggesting that the person they were meeting was quite special. Entering the cafe, Bond led William to a woman in her 60s. Bond stood respectfully beside her, remaining silent. Before entering, William's mental abilities had scanned the room, and he recognized the famous M. Having seen so many Bond movies, he knew only a few memorable characters, and M, the head of MI6, was one of them. Played by a young woman and later an older woman, M had appeared in 7 Bond films, making her a staple of the series. M extended her hand and said, "William Devonshire, you can call me M." 1. Feigning a puzzled expression, William shook her hand and said, "Nice to meet you, ma'am. I'm William Devonshire. What can I do for you?" M looked at the young man in front of her, amazed that he had become a billionaire before turning 20 through his own efforts. Henry, the old man, was indeed fortunate to have such an outstanding successor. 6. M kindly said, "May I call you William?" William nodded, "Of course, ma'am." Without further small talk, M got straight to the point. "I'm here because of your extraordinary talent in computing. We would like to invite you to join MI6 Cyber Division." 1. William instantly knew this was just a pretext. If he joined MI6, he would end up being directed by this old lady, potentially facing dangerous missions. "Sorry, ma'am, you must know about my recent windfall. This money allows me to pursue my ideas, so I'm not planning to work for anyone else." M knew the chances were slim that a newly minted billionaire would accept, but she wouldn't give up easily. "William, we're not just any organization. I think you should look at this." Her assistant handed William a file. Opening the file, William's eyes were immediately drawn to a photo of his grandfather Henry. What did this have to do with his grandfather? He thought back to what Henry had taught him. Quickly flipping through the file, the contents shocked him but also made sense. His grandfather had been an MI6 agent, codenamed W, and had served from the age of 18 until his death. 2. The file included a letter from Henry, expressing his hope that William would join MI6 after turning 20 to continue the family tradition, as the W codename had been in their family for generations. 3. Before he could think further, something in his mind seemed to activate. Knowledge of espionage, assassination, and special forces tactics flooded his mind. A prompt appeared in his consciousness, asking him to choose a basic alignment. Understanding the prompt, he realized it was about choosing a moral alignment. Being lawful meant adhering to rules and order, while being chaotic meant defying laws and norms with impunity. The only advantage was that the system didn't require him to be a saint. Justified killings would still be permissible. Without hesitation, William chose the lawful alignment. As someone who had lived an ordinary life in both his past and current lives, he had no desire to cause chaos or destruction. 6. Congratulations, you have chosen the lawful alignment. Reward, 1 cubic meter of portable storage space. 16. Delighted, William thought about how useful this storage space could be for smuggling high-tariff goods and turning a profit. 3. But, reminding himself that he was now a billionaire, he decided it would be unbecoming to resort to smuggling. Seeing William staring at the file without reacting, M signaled Bond. Bond, understanding, asked, "William, are you okay?" Looking up, William saw genuine concern in Bond's eyes, which puzzled him. Why would the famous Bond show him kindness? These top agents were not known for their softness. Sensing William's confusion, Bond explained, "William, over 10 years ago, I was an agent under your grandfather. Before I joined the 00 Division and received my code number, your grandfather taught me a lot. After his death, I moved under M. I even knew your mother, and when you were little, I held you. The first time I visited your grandfather, I met you in his study when you were just 5 years old." Hearing this, William immediately recalled why Bond seemed familiar. Initially, he thought it was because Bond was played by the famous actor Pierce Brosnan in his past life. Now, Bond's words triggered a flood of buried memories. Haha. Pretending to recognize an old friend, William smiled, stepped forward, and suddenly grabbed Bond by the neck, lifting him with one hand. 7. 4 chapters delivered. During this new book period, please help with recommendations and collections. Thank you very much. Chapter 20, Triple Kill with Ease. Seeing William suddenly erupt, Mrs. M quickly stepped back. Bill Turner, her personal assistant and bodyguard, shouted, "Stop, William, what do you think you're doing? Put Bond down." He reached for his waist, gripping a Glock 17 and preparing to point it at William. Due to Henry, William had been secretly practicing combat skills over the years. Combined with the combat techniques of agents, assassins, and special forces just transmitted into his mind by the system, he instantly knew Bill was going for his gun. Quickly, he grabbed the keys from his pocket, and with a mage hand spell, he flung them at Bill's right wrist. Fortunately, he knew this wasn't a place for killing. If he killed Bill, he would also have to eliminate M and Bond. A hotel, with its bustling crowd, was not an ideal place to deal with bodies, not to mention facing MI6's investigation and retaliation. 6. So, he used the key head, not the sharp end, to disable Bill's hand. Just as Bill touched the holster on his side, a flash of white light struck his right wrist, causing intense pain. He cried out, his hand went numb, and the Glock fell to the floor. 2 bodyguards at the door heard Bill's warning and rushed in with their Glocks drawn. Seeing William holding Bond, they aimed their guns at him. Before they could fire, pain shot through their wrists, and their Glocks dropped to the ground, coins clattering on the floor. Bond, held up by William, urgently shouted, "Stop, everyone, stop. I'm fine, Hunter, Steve, I'm fine. William, calm down, calm down." William squinted, uncertain yet revealing nothing. "I remember you. If I'm not mistaken, it was you, the traitor, who got my grandfather killed." With that, William tightened his grip on Bond's neck. His current strength was astounding, enhanced continuously by magical power. He could easily lift 200 kilograms with one hand, making it effortless to snap a neck. 4. Seeing William genuinely intent on killing Bond, Bill immediately bent to pick up the Glock 17, but before he could, William drew a rope from his waist, using mage hand to grab the Glock 17. This rope, self-made by William, could extend 4 meters from its 1 meter length. Though he hadn't mastered whip techniques, using mage hand to simulate whip-like actions was feasible. With a flick, the rope recoiled to his waist, and he grabbed the Glock 17 brought over by the rope. Following the system's instructions for the Glock 17, William quickly unloaded the magazine, ejected the chambered round, and tossed the weapon aside. He relaxed his grip on Bond and said, "Mr. Nash, you better tell me how my grandfather died." 1. Hearing William use his real name, Bond realized William had indeed recognized him. His expression darkened, and he resignedly said, "I'm very sorry, William. Henry indeed died because of me. If you want to kill me for revenge, I have no objections." "Wait, William," M interjected. Seeing that William had only subdued her bodyguards and discarded his weapon, M realized he wasn't targeting her. She quickly explained, "William, your grandfather was betrayed by someone. It was Eric, 006, who betrayed him over a decade ago." 1. Henry was covering 007's retreat when a stray bullet hit his lung. Unable to evacuate in time, he died from the infection. 5. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen Henry one last time in London. "William, it wasn't Bond's fault, it was an accident." 006 Eric, the villain from GoldenEye? What kind of world have I been reborn into? William thought, recalling overhearing a conversation in the ICU. His grandmother had cursed a man named Nash, but his grandfather had said it wasn't his fault. Back then, young William only knew Nash was involved in his grandfather's death. Today, the memories resurfaced, but he couldn't fully trust M and Bond. Given that spies' words were often unreliable, even partially believable, he remained cautious. Since the information was unclear, he decided not to escalate things now. Letting go of Bond, he said, "Tell me you killed Eric, or tell me where to find him. I'll handle it myself." Rubbing his neck, Bond was surprised by William's strength. He assured, "Don't worry, William. I avenged Henry 5 years ago. Eric died before my eyes. I didn't leave until I confirmed he had no heartbeat." M, now back to her impassive self, spoke up, "Since this was a misunderstanding, let's move on." However, she continued, seeing William's restraint, "It seems Henry didn't follow MI6's protocols. He left you with considerable knowledge and training, which explains your exceptional skills hidden for 10 years. You've disguised yourself well, William Devonshire, truly Henry's heir." M's eyes blazed with anger, suspecting Henry had trained William or arranged for someone to teach him, leaving extensive knowledge for William. This was a serious violation of MI6 rules, and had Henry been alive, she'd ensure he ended up in prison. Chapter 21. Chapter 21, Gareth Mallory from the Security Committee. Easily subduing elite agent Bond and effortlessly disarming 3 armed elite agents, especially with those impressive hidden weapon and whip skills to snatch the weapon, it was evident that William hadn't learned these skills in just a few years. The more M thought about it, the more furious she became. She, the head of MI6, had been played by a 19-year-old kid from age 10 to 19, nearly 10 years. Henry, that old fox, must have left all the special knowledge he had to William. The Devonshire family had likely prepared for a successor's absence over the past 100 years, leaving behind contingency plans. Recalling when Henry was dying, he made a deal with her to disband the W group in exchange for her not troubling William and Lena. When William came of age, he was to be told about his grandfather's identity and inherit the special team the Devonshire family had controlled for over a century. Now, it seemed her moment of leniency had played into Henry's plans. 10 years later, the little boy had grown capable of taking over his family's power. Meanwhile, she had been consumed with the elusive W group members list, not paying any attention to William, who appeared harmless. The more Em pondered, the more she felt deceived by Henry, who had confidently said on his deathbed that his team had disbanded. But now, she no longer believed it. The team must have continued, protecting William and his mother, Lena, right under her nose, making her search fruitless for 10 years. Only such skilled members could have left no traces while secretly training William, turning a timid, bookish child into a master capable of taking down 4 of her agents. 2. Having controlled MI6 for 20 years, Em had never felt this humiliated. Her eyes blazing, she questioned William, "Tell me, where are the people who taught you all this?" William, contemplating how to get through this, immediately sensed Em's hesitation to act directly against him. Shrugging, he said, "No one taught me. I found a special training manual among my grandfather's belongings. You might know, I've had few friends since childhood, so I practiced on my own out of boredom. Unexpectedly, I had a knack for it and ended up like this." 2. Though his expression remained calm, blaming his skills on the deceased Henry, some things didn't require evidence, especially since Em had her own agenda. Even if William's story sounded plausible, Em wouldn't let it go. "Practicing out of boredom? Do you take us for fools? If anyone could achieve your skills by self-training, we wouldn't need any of us. What are you hiding? Did Henry reveal all his secrets to you?" Bond immediately interjected, "Ma'am, this is against protocol. You can't interfere in Devonshire family matters. Henry was an earl." Annoyed, Em retorted, "Henry claimed his team disbanded, and he's been dead for 10 years. I must know if the silent team has betrayed us." "William, you must tell me everything about the W group," Em demanded. William was genuinely confused about this spy team. If Lena were here, Em might indeed glean something. But even if he knew, he wouldn't disclose it. This seemed like a legacy Henry left for him, and Em desperately wanted the team. Feigning a deep recollection, he finally shook his head. "Sorry, Henry's belongings didn't mention any spy team. I found only some family secrets. That old fox didn't leave a penny for my mother and me. If he had such abilities, why would we live so difficultly?" This shocked everyone present, knowing Henry's background. He couldn't have been penniless, so where did his assets go? Em pressed, "Then hand over Henry's belongings, every single piece." William shook his head. Even if there were secrets, he'd have to find them himself. Revealing them would be more dangerous, possibly leading to his death. Narrowing his eyes at Em, he warned, "The Devonshire family's secrets belong only to the family. I don't believe I can't find someone willing to take 5 million or 50 million pounds to settle this." Damn, everyone understood William was putting a price on their lives. Few people's lives were worth 50 million pounds, and Em knew many would risk everything for that amount to assassinate her. But Em wasn't easily intimidated. Smiling suddenly at William, she said, "As head of MI6, I order you to reveal everything you know and hand over Henry's belongings. Otherwise, I'll detain you for threatening national security." Just as William contemplated escaping this relentless old lady, a man seated in the cafe's private room opened the door and said to Em, "Sorry, Em, but you don't have the authority." Startled, Em asked, "Gareth Mallory, why are you here?" Gareth replied, "You came to meet the new head of the W Group. Shouldn't I, the chairman of the Intelligence and Security Committee, be informed?" "Madam, with due respect, the Devonshire family's personnel have answered to the Security Committee for over a century, and the committee answers only to the Prime Minister. If you have questions, you can take them up with higher authorities." Ignoring Em, Gareth turned to William and introduced himself, "I'm Gareth Mallory. Nice to meet you, William." Though William suspected Gareth of being similar to Em, he wouldn't be foolish enough to offend 2 spy chiefs simultaneously. Shaking hands, he responded, "Hello, I'm William Devonshire. Nice to meet you, sir." Gareth nodded at Em before smiling at William. "Mr. Devonshire, may I call you William?" William nodded, "Of course, it's my honor." Regardless of Gareth's true nature, William decided to get to know him better, even if it meant taking legal action later. Gareth continued, "Let's find a place to chat over a drink and discuss any questions you have." "Sure, sir. We can go to the hotel restaurant. It's lunchtime, and I hear they have excellent grilled turbot." "Okay, with a billionaire treating, I can't refuse. Let's go." 2. 4 chapters delivered. During the new book period, please help with recommendations and favorites. Thank you very much. Chapter 22, The Inheritance of the Earl. William led Gareth Mallory into the Hilton Hotel's restaurant. After they ordered their food, Gareth began, "The Devonshire family has been serving England's special departments for over 140 years. It's surprising that such a prominent family now only has you, a 19-year-old, left." 3. Gareth sighed and continued, "You must be curious why MI6 hasn't activated the W Group for 10 years. William nodded. It's not that Em doesn't want to activate the W Group, she can't. The group has always been under the control of the Devonshire family for the past 140 years. Even the heads of the committee don't know who is in it. The complete records are only kept in a secret vault outside Buckingham Palace." Secret vault. William rolled his eyes, finding it somewhat fanciful. Isn't it fascinating? Hundreds of years ago, the royal family and nobility controlled intelligence agencies. All records were backed up in secret vaults outside Buckingham Palace. This practice continued, but times have changed. Now, intelligence power is in Downing Street's hands. The only intelligence power the nobility still holds is the secret vault. Gareth took a sip of the wine William poured him and continued. The W Group was initially an action team to root out and eliminate traitors within England. But no one wanted to hand over incriminating evidence, so each department formed its own oversight units, rendering the W Group unnecessary for a time. During World War II, when the Germans repeatedly broke our secrets, and many traitors were found within, the independent W Group became valuable again. However, after being dormant for so long, it had lost much of its power, and traitors were not easy to eliminate, leading to many sacrifices within your family. After World War II, during peacetime, the W Group's role shifted again. For the past few decades, it has operated as an independent unit within MI6, assigned by the Security Committee to handle special security tasks, primarily protecting the royal family, and only deployed in times of crisis. They only answer to the committee. Based on their completed missions, it's clear the members of this group are super-skilled individuals, which is why M has always wanted control over them. William nodded without changing his expression. Gareth continued, M has never realized that the heads of the committee are all of noble birth. They elect the members, and we choose people who don't despise nobility. 3. The W Group, an elite team, has always been controlled by the Devonshire family, born of nobility. So it's not surprising, right, William? William was genuinely surprised. He silently pondered Gareth's intentions in glorifying the nobility. Was he trying to incite William's ambition for the aristocracy? Nowadays, English nobility had to maintain a low profile due to public and media pressure. Their status had some value outside England, but within the country, Downing Street had been suppressing them for years. Was there really such significant power left for the nobility? Are you serious? William asked skeptically. Gareth looked at William as if he wanted to slap him. You idiot. How do you think your grandfather's father and 3 uncles died? They died for England. It's because of many nobles like them that the committee remains under our control. This is our forefathers' legacy, and no one can take it away. William quickly asked, so you're also of noble birth? Of course I am. Otherwise, how could I be the chairman of the committee? You are also of noble birth. We're on the same side. Don't think you can avoid this because you don't have a title now. The Duke of Devonshire won't agree to that. The Duke has high hopes for you. Otherwise, do you think he would have been caught by reporters, answering all those questions? The Earl of Oxfordshire's title is still reserved for you. It's up to you if you want it. William, many people are watching you, so think carefully about whose side you want to be on. Ha ha ha. William, more interested in being wealthy than noble, decided to probe for more information. Can I just claim the title if I want it? The title has already been inherited by someone else. It's out of my hands. Gareth rolled his eyes. You really are dense. The current Earl was arranged by your grandfather long ago. Although he's from the Devonshire family, he has no children. Henry made a contract with him before the royal family and major nobles, stipulating that if he remains childless, the title must revert to you. The Earl is now 65 and has tried for 10 years without success. 2 years ago, he was confirmed infertile by a hospital. So, you've been on certain people's radars for a while. That's why we approached you before you became truly successful. Do you understand? 1. William was secretly pleased but kept a skeptical facade. It's still impossible. I have no inheritance rights. The Earl's other male relatives can inherit the title. It wouldn't come to me. Ha, Henry really was a cunning fox. For decades, the Devonshire family has seemed cursed, with Henry only having your mother and the current Earl having no heirs. Gareth paused, giving William a meaningful look that made his heart skip a beat. Your family has dwindled to just you and the current Earl. With no other heirs, according to noble inheritance law, you are the only recorded heir in the noble council. You're the rightful inheritor. If you don't refuse, you'll soon be the Earl of Oxfordshire. You might want to set aside some money for inheritance tax. Gareth laughed. In England, there's no other noble family like yours that hasn't placed their assets in a trust. Henry was really ruthless. He must have feared other Devonshire branches would claim the inheritance. Now, even if someone wanted to, they couldn't. Without the money for taxes or proof of bloodline, no one can challenge your claim. The Duke of Devonshire is also troubled by the lack of wealthy heirs. Didn't Henry fear you wouldn't have the money to inherit the title and assets? William smirked. If I can't inherit the title, I'll just let it revert to the crown. 4 chapters delivered. During the new book period, please help with recommendations and favorites. Thank you very much. Chapter 23. Chapter 23. The Secret of the Oxford Charter. William sighed and said, from what you've told me, it seems I have no choice. Gareth, I suppose I'm in now. Of course. Even if you didn't want to join, you couldn't refuse. The Duke has already convinced the disheartened Earl. Tomorrow, the Earl of Oxfordshire will register you as his heir in the noble council, and this will be reported by the media. All of this was arranged by Henry. You have no choice but to accept, Gareth said with a smile. Why are you so eager to put the title on me? What exactly do you see in me, or what are you afraid of? William asked, voicing his doubts. He didn't believe for a second that these people were simply doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, believing him to be the chosen one. Gareth Mallory thought for a moment and decided to tell William, the Oxford Charter of 1258 has always been in the custody of the Earl of Oxfordshire. Before Henry died, he didn't tell anyone where the charter was. He only asked us to ensure you could smoothly inherit the title. Finding the charter will be your test. What if I can't find it? Will you get rid of me out of embarrassment? William asked nervously. 2. Gareth looked at him as if he were an idiot. Idiot, what era do you think this is? Killing a noble? Even if you don't find it, by then you'll already be a noble, but you'll never gain our recognition or enter the core circle. Though Gareth spoke lightly, William didn't believe him entirely. He understood that, despite his best efforts, his Chinese heritage would always prevent him from entering the core of the English nobility. 10. But if he couldn't join, so be it. He didn't care. As long as he could make money and protect his family, he didn't need the noble title. The nominal authority of the W Group would allow him to form a special team to safeguard his assets and family. As for protecting the royal family and handling special security issues, that would depend on his mood. His soul was not English, after all. 11. Seeing William silent, Gareth assumed he was pondering the whereabouts of the charter and quickly asked, William, do you have any clues? The charter is crucial. Finding it would be ideal. William searched his memories and recalled some things Henry had whispered to him on his deathbed, but he needed to verify them. If I find it, do I need to show it to you? William set a trap. Gareth Mallory, eager to obtain the Oxford Charter, quickly replied, that would be best. William realized these people were up to no good. Seeing Gareth's eagerness, he understood that the Oxford Charter was the ultimate proof of the Earl's legitimacy. The noble council had annotations of the charter, and the Earl who held it was the true Earl of Oxfordshire. Unsure what secrets the charter held that made these nobles so obsessed, William pretended to ponder deeply. After a moment, he snapped his fingers and exclaimed, I remember. What did you remember? Tell me, Gareth asked, standing up in excitement. Gareth, why are you so nervous? Oh, I remember Henry said that once I find the charter, I should photograph the third to last paragraph and show it to you. Buddy, you're not being honest, trying to trick me. Gareth Mallory, quick-witted enough to be the chairman of the committee, realized William was teasing him in revenge for trying to take the Devonshire family's secrets. Damn you, William Devonshire. You're just like Henry, a scoundrel. Henry, that old fox, used your family's guarded secrets for over 1,000 years to threaten us so you could inherit the title. William took a satisfied sip of wine. Haha, Gareth, we're all the same. Compared to you, I'm still quite decent. Haha. Gareth, exasperated, said, William Devonshire, you don't understand the importance of that charter. It could change the world. It mustn't fall into the wrong hands, or there will be chaos. All right. You talk as if you know what's written on it. If you did, why would you need me to find it? William dismissed him with a wave. I don't know what's written, but the royal family and the Duke of Devonshire do. Henry showed it to the Duke, who then warned Henry and our noble council to keep it safe. The text at the end must not be seen by anyone, or there will be serious consequences, Gareth Mallory whispered furiously. So, the Devonshire family cares about the charter, but you're interested in the text at the end? William asked curiously. Yes. The Oxford Charter is of no use to us. Only your family values it. We were all terrified by the Duke's warnings, curious but afraid that revealing its contents would indeed cause the chaos he predicted. William's curiosity was piqued. I really want to see what's written. Gareth Mallory, as the owner of the charter, I have the right to look at it, right? Gareth replied with a tone of exasperation. I hope you find it, but I also hope you don't. William, if you find it, don't tell me. I might not be able to resist looking. Show the photos to the Duke. Only he and the King have seen it, and only they can verify if you've found it. But don't take too long, the Duke's health isn't good, Gareth advised kindly. 2. William hesitated, then said, actually, I know how to find it. It might not even take a day. Gareth, why don't we look for it together? Aren't you curious about what's written? Gareth's expression turned excited, but he struggled internally before slumping into his chair, cursing, William, you're as hateful as Henry, just as despicable and tricky, always messing with people. Damn it, meet me at Downing Street after you see the Earl's statement tomorrow. You'll need to reselect your W Group members, Gareth Mallory said before storming off without another word. William was left pondering, how could I think this longtime spy is honest? I must be drunk. 1. He looked at the 12% alcohol content of his wine, shook his head, and thought, I really must be drunk. Chapter 24, Press Conference. At 1:30 p.m., William returned to the hotel conference hall for a press conference scheduled at 2 p.m. with Blockbuster. As soon as William entered the conference hall, he was met by his anxious lawyer, Anthony. Seeing William, Anthony quickly walked over and said, William, where have you been? I've been looking for you for an hour. The press conference is about to start. Come with me quickly, you need to get your makeup done. Makeup? Do I really need to go through all that trouble? William, a novice in such matters, was surprised. He was just an ordinary person before and had no idea that appearing on camera required makeup. Of course, Anthony replied with a you must be kidding expression. Without makeup, you don't know how your photos might turn out. Do you think celebrities look great in pictures naturally? It's all thanks to makeup. Without it, a face that's a 90 could look like a 70, even with a good photographer. 1. Anthony led William to the makeup artist, and after more than 20 minutes of preparation, William was ready. By the time he appeared at the press conference, the host had already taken the stage. William was stunned by the sight of dozens of journalists and several television cameras set up in the audience. He hadn't expected such a large turnout, including TV stations. Curious, William asked Anthony, did Blockbuster arrange for all these journalists? They really pulled out all the stops for this. 1. No, these journalists and TV stations came on their own. The Americans don't have that much pull. Most of them are here for you, Anthony replied with a smile. William was taken aback, uncertain. Really? How is that possible? I didn't know I had such news value. William, you're now the youngest billionaire in England. Converting your £135 million into dollars, that's $226 million. You started from nothing, with no help, and became a billionaire. After today, every young person in England will idolize you. Plus, you're so handsome, you'll become the dream idol for all the women in England. Do you think that makes you newsworthy? 7. Anthony was very excited. He had never handled such a big case before, and this would greatly enhance his reputation in the legal field. Seeing how satisfied William was with his services, Anthony anticipated more future collaborations. For a lawyer, rising to prominence meant connecting with more wealthy clients. While William was still processing Anthony's words, he heard the host announce, "Please welcome Mr. Roger Moore, Vice President of Blockbuster Group, and our English pride, the game developer Mr. William Devonshire." William, Roger Moore, and representatives from banks, insurance companies, and law firms walked to the front of the stage amid applause. Sitting at the conference table, William felt a bit nervous and stiff. This was his first press conference in both his lives. Fortunately, Roger Moore spoke first, giving William time to calm his nerves. Moore briefly introduced Blockbuster's overview, scale, and prospects, concluding with, "Blockbuster is a company that continuously pursues innovation. We are pleased to have reached an agreement with Mr. William Devonshire. Blockbuster has purchased the full rights to Plants vs. Zombies for $226 million. We have the confidence and ability to promote Plants vs. Zombies worldwide. Gamers around the globe will soon be able to enjoy this game." 7. William then spoke modestly, praising Blockbuster's vision and expressing his gratitude for their appreciation of the game. He wished Blockbuster continued success. The host then announced the start of the Q&A session, prompting a sea of raised hands from journalists eager to ask questions. The host selected a reporter from the BBC, a beautiful woman who stood and asked, "Mr. William Devonshire, I'm Diana Rigg from the BBC. My question is, why do you think the game Plants vs. Zombies fetched such a high price? And as a student under 20, how did you become a self-made billionaire in such a short time? What advice do you have for young people in England? Thank you." 1. William, noticing the beautiful reporter had squeezed in 3 questions, adjusted the microphone and thought for a moment before responding, "I don't like giving advice. I can only share my experiences. Follow your interests, act on your ideas, and don't worry about what others say. Push through even when it's tough, and leave the rest to fate. The high price is partly due to luck, a fitting product meeting the right company, making everything fall into place." He paused and continued, "The game's playability is also a significant factor. It sold 150,000 copies in less than a month, promoted only by students at the University of London. But honestly, no matter how well a game sells, it wouldn't typically fetch £135 million. His admission that the high price was unusual caused an uproar among the audience. Journalists eagerly fired more questions, creating a commotion. Roger Moore, the vice president of Blockbuster, looked puzzled at William, unsure if he was burning bridges before receiving the money. William gave Moore a reassuring smile, tapped the microphone, and called for order, "Please calm down. If you want me to continue, please be quiet." Once the journalists settled, William, exuding confidence, continued, "Actually, when I decided to sell the game, I considered a price of £200 million. The journalists buzzed again, and William quickly added, "Why did I think of selling it for £200 million? Because, in my view, £200 million is a reasonable price. But in this era, few see a game's full potential, giving Blockbuster a great bargain. Many underestimate the value of game-related merchandise. Even if a game sells well, it typically wouldn't sell 20 million copies in a few years, and you couldn't recoup £135 million just by selling the game. But the big companies also see what we see. So why did Blockbuster still spend such a large sum on this game's full rights?" His question left the journalists deep in thought. Why indeed? Big companies wouldn't make a losing deal. "William, why is that?" BBC reporter Diana Rigg stood up, waving her hand eagerly. 1. 4 chapters delivered. During the new book period, please help with recommendations and favorites. Thank you very much. Chapter 25, Chapter 25, You don't know much yet. William looked at the persistent journalist and silently applauded her. Today was a live broadcast, and even beautiful women had to learn to grab the spotlight if they wanted to become famous. Diana's smile stretched widely as several cameras turned towards her. Yes, why is that? The simplest explanation can be seen in the stock market of the year 2000. The middle class now has plenty of money, and a thriving market means people have more to spend on entertainment. William paused for a few seconds and then continued. Many young people seek individuality and uniqueness. They want to stand out and look cool. That's why London youths wear hats and t-shirts with zombie prints, because they think it's cool. When they find something cool, it becomes a trend. This explains why, in just half a month, just your Fashion sold 430,000 pieces of hats and t-shirts with zombie prints. And that's only in the few counties around London. Imagine the potential across all of Europe and the USA. I now believe Blockbuster could recoup their £135 million investment in a year just from merchandise sales alone. They made a great deal, William said. The crowd of journalists looked incredulously at William and Roger Moore from Blockbuster. Roger Moore's eyes nearly disappeared with his wide grin. He was thrilled. William Devonshire, despite his high asking price, was going all out to advertise the game. Moore thought to himself, if William's predictions hold true, Blockbuster has indeed struck gold. My position might even improve next year. Perhaps I should maintain close ties with William Devonshire? Regardless of whether his claims are fully accurate, his analysis will undoubtedly boost merchandise sales once it spreads. This guy is truly talented. I need to keep this promising young man close, Moore mused. William, noticing Moore's joyful expression, said, to give Blockbuster even more confidence and to encourage them to pay me sooner, I'll offer a free suggestion. The audience erupted in laughter, with Moore laughing the loudest, finding William increasingly agreeable. With the rise of the internet, I believe the game can be relaunched as an online version once the initial hype dies down. You could design it for 4-player online co-op, William began. Before he could continue, Moore quickly interrupted, William, Blockbuster can hire you as our game designer, or if you're too busy, as a consultant. We can discuss future game plans privately. Blockbuster values your insights and will compensate you fairly. Moore acted as if protecting a trade secret, not wanting competitors to hear William's innovative ideas. Realizing his misstep, William nodded in agreement. However, the journalists were far from satisfied, protesting Blockbuster's intervention. They didn't care about potential implications for the game's longevity. Many hot-tempered journalists shouted at Moore, but Moore sat unfazed, watching William anxiously. William, amused by Moore's nervousness, shook his head, signaling he wouldn't discuss the topic further. Seeing no response from the stage, the journalists gradually quieted down. William apologized, sorry, that was my mistake. Discussing future plans and profits should be done in private to protect the buyer's interests. I apologize for my mistake. Ignoring further protests, William continued, now, I think no one will question Blockbuster's decision to spend £135 million on the game. Do you have any other questions? A reporter from the London Times stood up, William, I'm Robert from the London Times. Why have you never had a girlfriend? Does this mean your criteria for choosing a partner are unusual? Thank you. Damn, I knew someone would ask this, William thought. He responded directly, I like beautiful women, without a doubt. It's just that the ones I liked didn't like me back. But after today, I doubt many girls in England would look down on me. He shrugged with a smug expression, infuriating the male journalists. 1. Everyone understood his implication, money changes everything. Some privately cursed him for being a mixed-race upstart. 2. Another journalist with an agenda asked, William, do you have any hobbies? We've heard you don't have any special skills. Is it true that mixed-race people don't enjoy sports? 6. The audience was shocked by the blatant racism. This journalist was bound to receive numerous complaints from the Asian community. The reporters watched William, eager to see his reaction. 1. William glared at the journalist. This jerk was clearly racist. After a moment, he said, I didn't have many friends growing up. At school, no one played with me. I played alone, treating math problems as games, reading as a hobby, and the library as my playground. Society's indifference didn't break me, it made me. That's why I'm here today, able to earn millions. It's not that Asians dislike sports, we just focus on more meaningful activities. 4. Who says I don't have hobbies? During my free time, I play Texas Hold'em by myself, swim, practice archery, and do free combat and Wing Chun. I can lift 100 kilograms with one hand. William could actually lift 200 kilograms but didn't want to exaggerate. Lifting 100 kilograms was believable, but 200 would make him seem superhuman. You might not know this, but I'm quite talented in archery. My math skills allow me to calculate the arrow's trajectory in my mind. I can hit the bullseye with my eyes closed after seeing the target. My sports scores were perfect in my entrance exams because I scored 60 out of 60 in archery. 1. Incredible? How is that possible? The audience was skeptical. Hitting the bullseye from 70 meters with closed eyes was something even Olympic champions couldn't do. Seeing the disbelief, William suggested, perhaps we can arrange a demonstration after the press conference. What do you think? Absolutely. That would be great. Voices of agreement echoed around the room. Chapter 26, on the actor's self-cultivation. BBC's Diana Rigg quickly decided, William, we at BBC can arrange everything for you. Just don't back out with excuses later. If you do, I'll come to your house to find you. William, looking at Diana's impressive figure, thought, please do come find me, something interesting might happen. Okay, let's set a time, William agreed, nodding. Hey, William, don't think you can use this as an excuse to date Diana Rigg. She's the pride of all London journalists. We'll stop you from getting close to her, a reporter joked loudly. 7. His comment made everyone laugh heartily. Right, Rob, you're spot on. We'll all protect Diana and won't give William a chance, others chimed in. William knew these reporters were actually trying to ensure they could all attend the archery event. They feared BBC would exclude them, and they didn't want to miss such a great story. Get lost, Rob. When did I become your property? If William wants to date me, I'd agree right now, Diana Rigg said boldly. William, would you like to date me? I'm single now, so you have a chance, she added, winking at William, looking quite inviting. 1. William was a bit moved. Diana Rigg was indeed a stunning beauty, curvaceous and with a very appealing figure. In his previous life, he was just a loser and had never dated such a gorgeous woman. 2. Many young women watching on TV cursed Diana Rigg, calling her shameless and a cradle robber, claiming William as theirs. For these teenage girls, Diana Rigg in her 20s was an old woman. But with so many people around, William felt a bit embarrassed and didn't directly agree. He only said, maybe we can have dinner after the press conference. 1. Of course, I'd love that. William, you'd better keep your word, or I'll come to your house to find you, Diana Rigg replied, smiling at William. To her, William was the perfect boyfriend, talented, famous, handsome, and rich. If she could date him, her fame would soar, and he was attractive, so she wouldn't be losing out either. 1. Boo, boo, boo. Oh my god, no, no, no. Diana Rigg, you can't agree to date him. William Devonshire will devour you. Diana Rigg, you belong to us. Many male reporters sighed and complained. Many male reporters had feelings for Diana Rigg. Watching their goddess potentially falling into someone else's arms made them very upset. 3. Okay, we'll talk after this is over, William said, blushing. It was his first time being booed, and he felt a bit embarrassed. 1. Damn it, William Devonshire, get back on topic. We don't want to hear you flirting live, a reporter shouted angrily. Many reporters wanted to punch William. Feeling a bit awkward, William said, okay, let's continue. I have 2 pieces of advice for my peers. First, have a strong will and don't care about what others say. The strength of your will determines how far you can go in life. Face challenges head-on instead of avoiding them. Overly sensitive nerves will keep you in a state of superficial comfort but inner anxiety for life. Build a strong will to meet life's challenges head-on. The reporters nodded in agreement. Second, within your means, read as much as possible. The easiest, most direct, and cheapest way to change your situation and the world is to read more. Knowledge changes destiny, and I'm a prime example. 1. William mentally added, given you have a system. Even an 8-year-old can learn to speak better, be cuter, and cry convincingly to persuade their parents to buy them toys. 1. I highly recommend On the Actor's Self-Cultivation to all kids in England. With this book, you might grow up to see through your kids' acting. You could then say, when I was your age, I was already honing my acting skills. I recommend you read On the Actor's Self-Cultivation so you can act better and not have your fake tears spotted by me. The audience burst into laughter, finding William's words very amusing. Some reporters jokingly asked where to buy the book to recommend it to their kids. TV viewers also found William's words hilarious, with many kids asking their parents where to buy the book, dreaming of getting whatever they wanted once they mastered acting. 1. One 10-year-old English boy named Daniel, inspired by William, bought the book and studied it diligently. A year later, he successfully starred in a long-running film series. 7. After becoming famous, he said in an interview, I thank William Devonshire for teaching me to act. I want to follow his example and recommend On the Actor's Self-Cultivation to all kids in England. Maybe you'll be the next great actor. After that day, many children interested in acting sought out the book, leading to a surge in its popularity. Adults also became interested, realizing that sometimes deceiving others is the key to success. William inadvertently fostered a new generation of actors and gave the entertainment industry a wide-reaching, free advertisement. The author of the book and their family repeatedly expressed gratitude to William in the media, as his endorsement led to substantial financial gains. For reasons unknown, French actress Sophie Marceau mentioned William in an interview, calling him the most handsome and charming young man she had ever seen and expressing a desire to meet him and discuss acting. 3. Although in her 30s, Sophie Marceau was still stunningly beautiful. William was certainly willing to meet her, though he worried about the media frenzy due to their age difference. 7. 4 chapters delivered. During the new book period, please help with recommendations and favorites. Thank you very much. Chapter 27. Chapter 27. A Smart Brain Saves Money. Once everyone had laughed enough, a reporter asked, Mr. William Devonshire, you are now the richest young man in England. What are your plans after acquiring such a substantial fortune? 3. William thought for a moment and said, First, I plan to buy a big house for my mother, Lena. She's had a tough life, and I want her future to be comfortable and filled with things she enjoys, without any financial worries. The conference hall erupted in applause, moved by William's filial piety. Secondly, I will use part of the money to do things I couldn't afford to do before. I have many ideas. For instance, last year, I invented a new MP3 encoding format called Windows Media Audio, or WMA for short. I also have some inventions related to drones. Diana Rigg interrupted before William could finish. Sorry, William, but if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned the WMA format is new. Can you explain it in detail? 2. William, a bit annoyed, glanced at Diana, who quickly clasped her hands together and gave him a cute, pleading look. Rolling his eyes, William explained, Since there's interest, I'll elaborate. Current MP3s are too large, unattractive, and have poor sound quality. Customers who buy CDs can't convert them to MP3 format and have to pay again to download legitimate music, which is unfair. The audience nodded in agreement. Furthermore, while people can download music online for free, this piracy is killing the music industry. Consumers want a product that's simple, affordable, convenient, and high quality. So, I invented the WMA format, which is over twice as small as MP3 files with CD-like sound quality. It can store over 3 times the number of songs compared to current MP3 products. 1. Diana Rigg, without raising her hand, stood up and gazed at William with a dreamy look. William, you're saying that because you found MP3s too ugly, low in capacity, and poor in quality, you invented an entirely new MP3 format yourself? Pretty much. I'm a tech geek with a bit of an obsessive streak when it comes to things I'm interested in. I always want to make something that satisfies me, William said, feeling a bit embarrassed. He was essentially copying technology from his past life, though he had to create the product himself. Seeing William's bashful expression, Diana Rigg felt even more excited about their date. She thought William blushed because he liked her, which she found adorable. The journalists and TV viewers were stunned by William's claim. They knew he was a genius, but this was on another level. They wondered if they were even on the same planet as him. 1. William, when will your product be available? I want one of those MP3s right now. I'm tired of the current ones, a reporter asked loudly. If the patent process goes quickly, it should be available within 6 months. Maybe even 3 months. It all depends on how fast the English authorities can issue the necessary licenses, William said, tapping his head. Everything about this product is in my mind. I even made a simple prototype at home. He pulled out an MP3 player the size of a cigarette pack from his pocket. The final product will be smaller and half as thick. I made this with a plastic shell and used electronics from a second-hand store. Would you like to hear it? Of course, everyone nodded eagerly. William turned on the MP3 player and placed the earbuds near the microphone. My Heart Will Go On began to play. Many in the room, familiar with current MP3 quality, immediately noticed the superior sound. After the song finished, William turned off the MP3 player. In my vision, the new MP3 should be simple, functional, and beautiful. When people see it, they should not want to put it down. It should represent fashion and youthful vitality. It should also store at least 1,000 songs. Its success will be measured by how people can't part with it after buying it. 1. The room erupted in applause again. The journalists felt attending this event was the right choice. William Devonshire was a news machine, England's pride, and would likely become a global icon. Many of them were now eager to buy his MP3. After several seconds, William apologized to Roger Moore from Blockbuster, saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to today's main topic. Our Roger Moore has caught a cold, and we've left him out for too long." The room erupted in laughter again. Roger Moore, not in a hurry, spoke into the microphone. No. Like everyone else here, I'm more interested in the MP3 now. William, when can I buy one, and how much will it cost? What's its name? Right, William, we all want to know what Roger Moore wants to know, many reporters echoed. Roger Moore wasn't angry at all. He knew that as long as William became more famous, the game he created would also gain more recognition, benefiting Blockbuster. William, feeling apologetic, nodded to Roger Moore and addressed the reporters. All right, since Mr. Moore doesn't mind me stealing the show, I'll continue. This MP3 will be called My Listen. If everything goes well, it should be available within 6 months, maybe even 3. It depends on how quickly the authorities issue the necessary approvals. The first generation requires only components already available on the market. It's a mature product. If I place an order today, the manufacturing company could produce it within 3 months. As for the price, I can't say for sure yet, but I promise it won't be more expensive than current MP3s. After all, the development cost was very low, so low that I regret developing it by myself because it means I won't get the 1.5 times development cost tax refund from the English government. William made a helpless face at the camera. 2. The audience laughed again. That's the benefit of having a smart brain. It saved me a lot on development costs. Seeing William shrug, the crowd applauded and cheered. Well done, William. We love your smart brain. If you can cut the price in half, we'll marry Diana Rigg to you. Ha ha ha. Diana Rigg blushed and looked at William as if saying, propose now, and I'll agree immediately. 3. 4 chapters delivered. During the new book period, please help with recommendations and favorites. Thank you very much. Chapter 28. Chapter 28. You should see a psychiatrist. With so many people present, William could only pretend not to notice Diana Rigg's signal to him, ignoring the teasing and uproar from the reporters. Roger Moore, sitting next to him, also winked at him with a look that said, "You're lucky, a beauty is throwing herself at you." William didn't believe Diana Rigg was really smitten with him at first sight. English reporters have no scruples, they're just using him for his current fame as a rising star. Marrying him would be even better for them, they could divorce later and get half his assets, becoming rich overnight. 5. It's not that William didn't believe in love, he just didn't believe in its longevity. Otherwise, how could there be so many people who love each other to death but divorce after a few years? England is the second highest country in Europe for infidelity. 4. Do you know who the highest is? You might think it's France, but no, it's Spain, the country of bullfighting, home to Real Madrid. Surprised? 8. Rather than suffering a few years later, it's better to learn from Hong Kong's Mr. Lee, who refuses to marry. If things go well, they stay together, if not, they break up. 3. William checked his watch and signaled the host to continue with the questions. Hello, William. I'm John Tryson from The Sun. I just got news that the Earl of Oxford has named you as his heir. What do you have to say about that? William cursed inwardly. He hadn't even inherited the title yet and was already being targeted. The English are really vigilant about their nobility. Even the slightest rumor makes them pounce like they've smelled something. You at The Sun are really something. I just got the news this afternoon. How did you manage to find out something I thought was impossible to leak? I'll have to check my phone tomorrow, maybe I'll find something unusual. My skills aren't bad, after all. I protest, Mr. William Devonshire. I protest your baseless accusation of The Sun eavesdropping. I demand a public apology and compensation for the damage to The Sun's reputation. John Tryson protested angrily. William acted as if he was being teased and said to his lawyer, Anthony, hey, Anthony, looks like your law firm has business. If The Sun sues me, you'll have to help me, right? Anthony, my friend, you'll help me, won't you? No problem, William. Our law firm would be delighted to serve you. Anthony nodded. That's good. Haha, I trust the capabilities of your firm, but I don't think I accused The Sun of eavesdropping. I just said I'd check my phone, which doesn't constitute defamation, right? Anthony nodded and said, Mr. William, our law firm is confident and capable of winning this case for you. I assure you this won't cause you any trouble. Haha, hey, John Tryson, you heard that, right? I now welcome you to sue me. Maybe you'll win and get a few £1,000,000. Wow, buddy, you'll be rich. Everyone laughed, looking at William and then at John Tryson. Most journalists know a bit about the law and aren't ignorant enough to believe such vague insinuations would be accepted in court. Only John Tryson, this fool, would be provoked by William into saying things he shouldn't. Tomorrow's papers will be richer for it. Such a hit on The Sun won't be missed by the journalists present. Who knows if John Tryson will still have his job tomorrow. He might be fired by The Sun's editor as soon as he returns to the office. 1. The crowd looked at John Tryson gleefully, their eyes saying, Fool, you're done. Mr. William Devonshire, you haven't answered my question yet. Please answer it directly. To my knowledge, you have no inheritance rights, John Tryson insisted. You should ask the English Nobility Council about that. If they say I do, then I do, Eric replied, looking at John Tryson as if he were an idiot. 1. Seeing the journalists' expressions saying they could find out even if he didn't speak, William thought it better to explain himself. It would be clearer if he said it during the live broadcast, rather than letting the journalists twist his words tomorrow. All right, since you're so anxious, I'll kindly explain. According to English nobility inheritance law, the current Earl has no direct relatives. Among collateral relatives, I'm the only male, so I'm the only one qualified to inherit the title. Understand, Mr. John Tryson? John Tryson, still unwilling to give up, said, but there are many Devonshires who can inherit the Earl's title. Why must it be you? I suspect there's something shady going on. Are you sick? I think you should see a psychiatrist. What's the Devonshire Duke's surname? Cavendish. Do I need to say more, Mr. John Tryson? John, I really suggest you get checked out at the psychiatric department. Don't delay treatment. You might thank me later. If you do, please let me know. I'll open a bottle of champagne to celebrate your early diagnosis, giving you more time to deal with it. The reporters laughed heartily. William was really bad, yet clever. He insinuated John Tryson was mentally ill without saying it directly. Everyone knew what William meant. And he suggested that if John Tryson did find out he was mentally ill, he should tell him so William could celebrate with champagne. Damn, we journalists aren't as dark-hearted as William. He's practically cursing the guy to have a mental illness. But seeing the Sun embarrassed felt so good, they all thought. Mr. William Devonshire, does that mean you'll soon be a noble, barring any unforeseen circumstances? Wait, I think it should be said that it will happen someday in the future. But I hope this moment comes as late as possible because I wish the current Earl of Oxford good health. Honestly, the title isn't something I desire. Before today, I never thought I could inherit the title of Earl. This is all God's arrangement. The reporters applauded, thinking, is this guy really 19 years old? He's so articulate. The reporter, seeing his previous trap hadn't caught William, continued, all right, William, what do you think about the Earl's family wealth? According to my knowledge, the Earl's family wealth has increased significantly over the past decade, from less than £400,000 to over 11 million. What do you have to say about inheriting such a large fortune? 2. Underscore 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 chapter 29. Chapter 29. Diana Rigg. Wow, that much? Doesn't that mean I'll have to pay over £5 million in inheritance tax? William joked. Well, it is a lucky thing, William continued after thinking for a moment. When the day comes that I really inherit the Earl's title and the Devonshire family fortune, I'll donate the remaining part to the England Women's and Children's Protection Fund after paying the inheritance tax. For example, if the total estate is worth £100, after paying 40% inheritance tax, I'll donate the remaining 60% in cash. Note that I'm talking about the total wealth as determined by the England tax authorities at that time. And I won't sell any family real estate, I'll only donate cash. And of course, there's an important point to consider. I hope that in a few decades, I haven't gone bankrupt, and that the Earl's business acumen isn't so good that I can't even inherit anything. But I am a bit worried because the Earl has increased his wealth nearly 30-fold in the past decade. God, 30 times? I'm thinking that if, decades from now, the English authorities ask, William, do you have £1 billion to inherit the title? I'll probably be quite desperate, William said with a look of uncertainty. The crowd shared a knowing smile. Those in the media industry knew William was joking and playing the pity card, trying to divert attention and prevent the English public from resenting his inheritance of the title and fortune. This strategy worked well for a 19-year-old like him. A young man who could earn 10 times his inheritance and still play the pity card easily won people's goodwill, making them less envious of him. This was crucial. As long as the vast majority didn't oppose it, his inheritance of the title would go smoothly. Especially the Earl of Oxford, who was watching the live broadcast. He felt a sudden fondness for William, making him less resistant to the idea of William inheriting his title. After all, he had had 10 years to try for a child but never succeeded. No woman he'd been with ever got pregnant. As William said, it seemed all arranged by God, the Earl comforted himself. Meanwhile, the Duke of Devonshire and many other nobles watching the broadcast developed a good impression of William. He didn't show any urgency or disdain for inheriting the title. The press conference ended promptly at 5 o'clock. William shook hands with Roger Moore to say goodbye, but Moore wasn't willing to let William go now. Knowing about William's mature project, which looked promising and bright, Moore would be a fool not to seize this opportunity to join. William, we're friends now, right? Roger Moore asked, deliberately sounding closer. Of course, Roger, we're definitely friends, William, who had noticed Moore's interest in the listening series, replied. However, William wasn't too keen on partnering with Base Industries for his MP3 project. Even Base Industries' parent company couldn't offer much help beyond funding. Wait, Viacom owns television stations, maybe that could be useful. Let's get to the point, Roger. You know I have a wonderful date in a bit, William said, winking and nodding towards the entrance of the conference hall. Diana Rigg was there, waving at William. All right, William, you lucky guy. I'll be direct. Base Industries is very interested in your listening series. I think we should find some time to discuss it seriously. Roger, I don't need money right now. So what benefits can Base Industries bring me? Roger, I think you understand. I need people who can help me and the listening series. Money is no longer the main issue. Roger Moore was about to say something when they heard BBC live broadcasting, with several experts brought in for analysis. The BBC host asked, Professor Thomas, do you think the technologies William Devonshire mentioned can be realized? And is that crude handmade MP3 he has really as good as he says? A white-haired, elderly professor appeared on TV, saying, from a technical standpoint, what William Devonshire described is achievable and fairly easy to realize. The hardest part is integrating these technologies and bringing the cost down to a level acceptable to the public. I find it hard to believe that William did all the work that a big company might struggle to accomplish, but seeing and hearing his handmade MP3, I have to believe it. Okay, viewers, since Professor Thomas believes that what William said is easy to achieve, and it seems William has solved the two major challenges, the question is, if there were an MP3 player cheaper than current ones, with larger capacity, better sound quality, and more attractive design, would you buy it? I don't know about you, but I certainly would. It's too special. My main concern now is how many units the first batch of the listening series will have. I think the first batch might not even meet London's demand alone. William Devonshire drew our attention by becoming England's youngest billionaire, but within 2 days, he showed us how brutal reality can be. He took a month to become a billionaire, and in another 6 months, he could be worth 10 billion. What about in a year? William Devonshire, please don't tell me or let me find out you've topped England's rich list, or I might have a heart attack and end up in the hospital. 1. The host turned to the live audience and added, don't tell me either. I've decided to block all information about William Devonshire in 6 months because I think my prediction will come true. Another expert in the studio laughed and nodded in agreement. If, and I say if, everything William Devonshire said is true, I don't see any problem with his value reaching 10 billion. Did you notice he mentioned drones? Diana Rigg interrupted him, but I'm now curious about what kind of drones William Devonshire was talking about. Yes, I almost forgot. William did mention drones. It's a pity none of the reporters asked about them. Seeing there was nothing more useful on TV, Roger Moore turned his attention back to William. He found it hard to believe that this young man would become a billionaire. All right, William, let's set a time to talk seriously. I need to report the situation here to the board in the USA. I won't interrupt your date with the beauty. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks, Roger. I'll call you if I need anything. That's it for today. Goodbye, William said, shaking hands with Roger Moore. Walking over to Diana Rigg, William saw that this beautiful woman had changed into a dress, looking even more feminine than in the professional suit earlier. He was stunned for a moment and praised, Diana, you look so beautiful now. I was momentarily entranced. 1. Giggle, thank you, William, Diana Rigg said, pleased with how William looked at her, indicating her strategy had succeeded, making it easier for her to get William's attention. All right, Diana, let's go. Chapter 30, Porsche 911-2. William linked arms with Diana Rigg as they left the hotel. The moment they stepped outside, they were blinded by a barrage of flashlights. With the hotel's security escorting them, William shielded Diana as they got into a Rolls-Royce prepared by the Hilton Hotel. The two enjoyed a delightful dinner at a Michelin 3-star restaurant, drinking 3 bottles of wine. By the time they finished, Diana was quite tipsy. When they left, she was practically hanging off William. There was no need for further thought, the beauty didn't mind at all. In the car back to the hotel, Diana was all over William. 3. On the way, numerous paparazzi followed them on motorcycles, constantly snapping pictures of the Rolls-Royce. It seemed Diana had ulterior motives, wanting the paparazzi to capture their intimate moments. At the hotel, William helped the drunken Diana into the room, and as soon as they entered, they started making out on the sofa. After finishing his push UPS, William took a shower and found Diana already asleep. He had to carry her to the bathtub to clean her up before putting her to bed. Early the next morning, William was suddenly awakened by Diana pinching his nose. Using his psychic abilities, he scanned Diana and let out a sudden scream. 3. Diana, startled by William's sudden yell, jumped and fell on the floor, crying out in pain. The two engaged in their morning exercise routine, which lasted for 2 hours. By the time they finished showering, it was almost 11 o'clock. 1. Damn it, William, you're a beast. You never stop once you start exercising. I'm exhausted, Diana complained as she applied makeup. William hugged her, kissed her cheek, and comforted her. Let's go out for a big lunch, then head to Oxford Street to buy you some nice things. Hurry up, dear Diana, I'm starving. If you don't hurry, I'll have to eat you. Hearing that William would take her shopping on Oxford Street, Diana brightened up immediately. She knew William wouldn't consider her a girlfriend based on his attitude towards her. Although she couldn't be William's girlfriend for now, as long as he didn't reject her and was willing to spend time with her, she still had a chance. William was a high-quality catch, even if it was just a casual relationship. She thought about how his lean body hid a beast of a man, as wild and rough as could be. Women's makeup routines could be really time-consuming. By the time William and Diana arrived at the Michelin restaurant, it was already 1 p.m. William was so hungry he could eat a whole cow. Once the food arrived, he started eating immediately, not caring about manners. After their meal, William took Diana to Oxford Street. Though they didn't hold each other, they walked arm in arm, whispering to each other. Diana intentionally made some intimate gestures, and William didn't refuse. After all, having slept with her, he owed her some goodwill. The relatively unknown Diana Rigg might even transition from a reporter to a BBC host. They spent the afternoon strolling through Oxford Street, visiting one luxury store after another. William spent around £40,000 to £50,000 on a few pieces of clothing and a handbag. Thankfully, Diana didn't treat him like a sugar daddy, choosing items costing only £1,000 or £2 each. She hesitated for a long time before accepting a £20,000 handbag. 4. William was quite satisfied with this. Diana, having started from the bottom as a reporter, knew her limits and didn't go overboard. She seemed smart, making William decide to maintain some contact with her for now and see what happens in the future. 1. As they passed by a Porsche dealership, William's eyes were glued to a blue 911. He had always liked Porsches more than Ferraris. 6. Seeing this 300 horsepower 1998 911, William couldn't resist dragging Diana into the dealership. The sales consultant, who had seen William's live broadcast, recognized him immediately and greeted him with a smile. Good afternoon, Mr. Devonshire. I'm Lois, a Porsche sales consultant. How can I assist you today? William smiled at Lois and pointed at the 911 on display. Hello, Lois. I like that car. Do you have any in stock? I'd like to take it for a spin. Lois smiled at William and said, Mr. Devonshire, this is the largest dealership in London. We have every Porsche available in England. The highest spec 911 is in our garage right now. I'm sure you'll love it. Please follow me, and we can sit down while my colleague brings the car out. William had barely sipped his coffee when Lois's radio announced that the car was ready. Lois led William and Diana to the dealership's backyard, where a sky blue Porsche 911 was waiting. William asked, Lois, can I take it for a test drive? 2. Of course, Mr. Devonshire. You can definitely take it for a test drive. With Lois in the passenger seat, William told Diana, Diana, wait here for a bit. I'll take you for a ride later. Diana smiled and nodded, understanding that the car only had 2 seats. Drive safely, William. I'll wait inside with a cup of coffee. William sped out of the dealership in the 911 with Lois in the passenger seat. On the highway, he pushed the speed up, thrilled by the roar of the engine. Lois reminded William that he was speeding, so he reluctantly slowed down. After a lap around the highway, William drove back to the dealership, got out, and said, I'll take this car. Write it up for me, Lois. Lois beamed at the sale and nodded, smiling sweetly. Yes, Mr. Devonshire, I'll get the paperwork ready right away. After paying, William continued shopping with Diana. The car would be ready in 2 hours, as it needed to be detailed and have the license plates sorted. 2 hours later, while sharing a large bucket of ice cream with Diana, William received a call from the Porsche dealership. Sitting on a bench on the street, they soon saw his new car delivered. At that time, the Porsche 918 hadn't been released yet, so William thought the 911 was the most beautiful Porsche. 9. Holding Diana's hand as he accepted the 911, the paparazzi swarmed around, snapping photos. The barrage of flashes forced William to put on his sunglasses and hand Diana her sunglasses, hanging from her collar. Diana, surprised by William's sudden thoughtful gesture, blushed deeply. The paparazzi were thrilled, capturing William and Diana's public display of affection. Tomorrow's papers would have plenty to write about. Headlines might read, William Devonshire spends lavishly on new flame, LV bags and Porsche 911, or Diana Rigg, from small-time reporter to potential Oxford Countess, the ultimate rise.